Chapter 271 Lifting the Siege. Old Mrs. Huang understood immediately, shut her mouth, and stood beside Lu Mingui with her arms crossed. The two of them just stared at Wang Erniangzi with a cold expression. But Wang Erniangzi thought she had the upper hand and didn't realize anything was wrong, continuing to perform her opera. Even dogs wouldn't use this stuff, and you dare to sell it for money. What kind of Ronghua pavilion is this? It's clearly the rotten face pavilion. What? You're too scared to say a word? Are you afraid now? You think running a rouge shop is easy? You dare to compete with the Wang family for business? You must be blind. With her hands on her hips, Wang Erniangzi became even more arrogant. She made her intentions clear. She was here to sabotage Ronghua Pavilion. Just as she was feeling smug, an old woman suddenly walked up to her and slapped her across the face. The slap landed on her face with a loud thud. When she came to her senses, she assumed it was old woman Huang who dared to hit her. Before she could even see who it was, she started cursing, "You old whore, how dare you lay a hand on me? Why don't you go and find out who I am?" However, before he could finish speaking, he was slapped hard across the face several more times. This old woman was incredibly strong, slapping Wang Niangzi's face with both hands, making it sting and her ears ring. How could Lady Wang bear such humiliation? She rolled up her sleeves and lunged at the other person. Seeing this, Lu Mingui quickly moved to protect the glass display case. This was their store's prized possession. They didn't want it to be destroyed in a fight. However, the expected fight between the two did not occur. A woman who looked to be in her early 20s suddenly spoke up and shouted, "Stop! Are you blind? This is no place for you to cause trouble. Get down there right now." When Lady Wang heard the somewhat familiar voice scolding her, her mind immediately cleared up considerably. She looked up and was immediately startled. She recognized the person who spoke. It was the daughter-in-law of Master Wang, surnamed Lu, and Master Wang was their employer. "Why, is the boss here too?" The disturbance at Ronghua Pavilion today was instigated by Manager Wang. They said they wanted to make Ronghua Pavilion go out of business so as not to compete with their own business, since their own family had only opened a rouge shop. But the owner's daughter-in-law stumbled upon this incident. What should they do now? When Lu saw that she was still standing there in the distance, she was immediately furious. This whole family were idiots. Before causing trouble, they dared to come and vandalize the place without even doing their research. Did they really think Ronghua Pavilion was as easy to bully as Huang Posi's rouge shop back then? The person behind Ronghua Pavilion is none other than Magistrate Zhang. It is said that this Lu family's daughter is already engaged to the county magistrate's nephew. Although this matter was not high profile, on the day of the engagement, Magistrate Zhang personally delivered the betrothal gifts. Why did these people dare to cause trouble without doing any research first? Thinking of this, Lu felt a tightness in her chest, and her eyes couldn't help but stealthily glance at the distance behind her. Standing there were Madame Zhang and a group of female officials' wives. Madame Yang's face was frosty. Lu felt a chill run down her spine. This was going to be troublesome, and her family would be in for a lot of trouble. Although Magistrate Zhang was fairly upright, he was not easy to deal with. Although the Wang family was wealthy, they had no real power. "I need to go back and tell my father-in-law as soon as possible that we can't keep this Manager Wang any longer." Just as she was about to order someone to drag Lady Wang out, she heard Madame Zhang speak first. "So, this Lingzi Jade Dew can cause facial rot. How come I find it to be extremely good?" The moment she stood there, her fair and radiant skin was the best advertisement. But what she said sent chills down the spines of Lu and the others. Wang Erniangzi's words were too harsh and had offended them terribly. They said only beasts would use that, but I never expected that Madame Zhang was using Lingzi Jade Dew. Madame Lu quickly put on a smiling face and said, "Madam, it's all because that woman didn't know how to speak properly and offended you." He then shouted, "Guards, slap her in the face." The old woman who had just hit someone came forward, pinned Wang Erniangzi to the ground, and whipped her mercilessly. In no time, Wang Niangzi's face was swollen and red, and she was no longer as arrogant as before. Wang Erniangzi naturally knew that she had offended an important person today, and she didn't even dare to beg for forgiveness. As Lu Mingui listened to the increasingly muffled slapping sounds, while Madame Zhang remained completely unmoved, she was filled with horror. This Madame Zhang is quite different from the Madame Zhang I saw in the back courtyard of the county government office last time. The more kind and gentle they were then, the more cruel they are today. Fortunately, Lu Mingui never became arrogant or haughty just because he had become related to the county magistrate's family by marriage. He was always polite and courteous to these officials and their families. When Granny Huang saw that Madame Wang's mouth was bleeding from the beating, she felt a little sorry for her. She stammered, wanting to plead for her, but Lu Mingui subtly pulled her back. At this moment, Madame Zhang was standing up for her own family, and she was also indignant because she had been scolded. If Granny Huang were to plead for her again, she would really be out of line. Fortunately, the slapping didn't last long. Madame Zhang said coldly, "That's enough. Today is the opening of Ronghua Pavilion, and we hope that harmony will bring wealth. It's gotten so ugly, I hope it doesn't affect the shop's business." The old woman then stopped and dragged Wang Erniangzi, who had already been beaten to the point of being unable to speak, away. Madame Lu wiped the fine sweat from her forehead and thanked Madame Zhang profusely. He turned around and asked Lu Mingui with a face full of shame, "Manager Lu, I'm really sorry for today. The servants were blind and almost ruined your opening. You are a magnanimous person and will not hold a grudge. I will definitely handle this properly and this will never happen again. How about this, I'll buy the rouge she broke earlier. How much silver?" Lu Mingui readily replied, "My lady, you flatter me. However, this is indeed the most expensive skincare set in my shop. If Madame Wang smashes one of the bottles, then it can't be made into a complete set." Lady Lu was taken aback. "Skincare products?" Lu Mingui nodded. "That's right, there are facial cleansers and moisturizing face creams here, all for skin care. Therefore, it is called skincare products, which is simple and clear." Lady Lu disagreed in her heart, but her face remained warm. She asked with a smile, "How much does such a skincare set cost?" Lu Mingui did not ask for an exorbitant price, he stated the price truthfully, "This set is 88 taels of silver." Upon hearing the price, Lady Lu was disdainful, thinking it would be much more expensive. It was only 88 taels of silver. Some of the young women and wives outside gasped in shock when they heard this. Meanwhile, Lady Lu had already instructed someone to bring out the silver and hand it over to Lu Mingui. Granny Huang had already handed the box along with the remaining skincare products to Lady Lu's servants. The broken items on the ground were simply wasted, so they quickly cleaned them up. After taking the things, Lady Lu did not wish to stay any longer. She bowed to Madame Zhang and left quickly. Because of this incident, the shop suddenly became much quieter. Chapter 272 Showing Support. Lu Mingui gritted her teeth inwardly. The Wang family really knows how to make a scene. This commotion will definitely affect their business. I should have charged them 200 taels. But this desolate situation is not a solution. Song Xiaoqiu and the others were at a loss. They were not business people and were unable to react for a while. Just like how I couldn't stop Lady Wang in time. Seeing that the guests all seemed ready to leave, I started to panic. Fortunately, Granny Huang was there. Seeing that the atmosphere was getting quiet, she tried to cheer them on, but no matter how much she tried, it wasn't as lively as before. Lu Mingui knew that if the business was so quiet on the first day, it would be even more difficult to do business in the future. We have to increase its popularity no matter what. After a moment's thought, she addressed the crowd in the shop, saying, "Everyone, there are lucky draws for spending money at Ronghua Pavilion today. For every 500 cash, a velvet flower will be given as a gift. For every 1 tael of silver, a fine lacquered wooden hairpin will be given as a gift. A glass and copper hairpin will be given as a gift with purchases of 10 taels or more. A glass bowl will be given as a gift with purchases of 100 taels or more. Now the glass and copper hairpins I bought before have come in handy." As she spoke, she took out the glass bowl and the copper hairpin, which naturally attracted a lot of attention. Those who wanted to leave after watching the excitement heard that there were free gifts with the purchase of rouge and face powder, so why would they want to leave? The main reason is that the prizes are quite unique and much better looking than those on the market. The once quiet shop became lively again. "Give me a bar of soap. I want a box of lip balm, and one of those other things, what's it called, face cream. How much is the makeup powder? Even if you can't buy 10 or 100 taels, you can still buy 500 coins." It really worked. Lu Mingui breathed a sigh of relief and gestured to her daughter and niece-in-law to get to work. The three understood each other perfectly. Song Xiaoqiu went over first and introduced the lip rouge to the person asking the price. "Miss, your skin is already fair, so this lip rouge is perfect for you." Meng He and Zhao Xinghua greeted the guests with smiles. Old Mrs. Huang also shouted, "Try our jade moisturizing cream, made with the finest milk, it's incredibly moisturizing. It keeps my face from feeling dry and painful when I use it in winter." Lu Mingui took a moment to thank Madame Zhang, saying, "Madam, thank you so much for getting me out of that predicament." She was naturally very grateful to Madame Zhang. She had thought that Madame Zhang wouldn't come today, but to her surprise, not only did she come, but she also brought a large group of people with her. They all look like they are either rich or noble. Madame Zhang remained silent for a long time, waiting to see how she would break the deadlock. To everyone's surprise, Lu Mingui took out a pair of transparent glass bowls, which made them look at her with new eyes. Who says the Song family is just a small, insignificant household? Just from the fact that she casually took out a pair of glass bowls as a small gift, you can tell that this family is quite wealthy. They just keep a low profile and don't flaunt their wealth. Such humility is truly commendable. As Madame Zhang pondered, seeing that they were about to become a family, she naturally hoped that the Song family would get better and better. Of course, this is on the premise that the Song family is not a hopeless case. She was quite satisfied with Lu Mingui at the moment. "Why are you being so polite?" Then, turning to the group of female officials behind him, he said, "Look, Manager Lu has actually brought out such fine things. This would be perfect for serving cold noodles or ice jelly in the summer." The wife of a county magistrate behind her laughed and said, "This is really rare. This glass bowl would cost a lot of money if sold separately, wouldn't it? Are they using it as a prize?" "Shopkeeper, are you serious?" Lu Mingui nodded repeatedly. "Of course it is true. Ladies and young ladies, please feel free to choose whatever you like. You will never be disappointed by anything from Ronghua Pavilion." Someone else asked, "If I buy 200 taels of goods, can I take 2 glass bowls?" Lu Mingui looked over and saw a girl with rosy cheeks and bright, lively eyes. She was clearly a pampered child at home. She thought about it and realized that she had bought 10 glass bowls, which was certainly enough to give as gifts. However, things are valued for their rarity, so it wouldn't be good if she took out 10 bowls at once. So he simply smiled and said, "Miss, you may not know this, but our shop only has 2 of these bowls. If I still want it, I will try to buy it from merchants in Southeast Asia. However, if you only need 2, that will certainly be enough." The young woman who asked the question was the daughter of another county magistrate, named Dao Hilan. Upon hearing this, she pursed her lips and secretly glanced at Madame Zhang. After all, everyone respected Madame Zhang. Madame Zhang smiled and said, "I'm old, and I can't eat anything cold, no matter how hot it is." That means she won't take the glass bowl from her. Dao Hilan was delighted and took the glass bowl to examine it closely. It was cool to the touch and transparent like an ice cube. The more she looked at it, the more she liked it. Pointing to the skincare products in the counter, he said, "Give me this set, and some others, just enough for 200 taels of silver. Wrap up these 2 glass bowls for me as well." Lu Mingui was almost caught off guard, but Madame Zhang urged, "Manager Lu, our Miss Dao is always very generous. You've really met a big customer today." Realizing what was happening, Lu Mingui quickly got to work. "All right, Miss Dao, please wait a moment." She gave someone a set of Ganoderma Lucidum skincare products, plus another set from the Milk series. They took some soap, face powder, and face cream, and quickly gathered 200 taels of silver. Finally, they took 3 cloth bags with the same pattern but different sizes, with Ronghua Pavilion Lu Family Special Research embroidered in the corner. Then they sorted the items by size and put them inside. Madame Zhang praised again, "Manager Lu is truly skillful, he even embroidered such exquisite cloth bags. These 3 cloth bags must be worth several tens of coins, right?" Lu Mingui chuckled awkwardly, feeling ashamed to accept the compliment. This cloth bag was naturally purchased in later generations. It was machine-made, cheap and sturdy, and had embroidery on it, with simple embroidery of flowers, plants, cats, and dogs. "This bag can also be used to hold things," she said. "Take out the skincare products inside, and the bag can be used as a package. Tighten these 2 straps and tie a knot, and the contents won't fall out." Madame Zhang added, "Then I'll buy a few things too, these are really nice." The others, upon hearing Madame Yang's praise, naturally realized that she was trying to promote the shop. Besides, the items were indeed quite good, including many rare finds, so they all stepped forward to pick them out. For a time, the inner room was even more lively than the outer room. The first day of business was incredibly busy. Around noon, taking advantage of the fewer people around, the group took turns eating. "I didn't have time to cook today, so my sister-in-law, Wang, helped me with the meal." By the end of the day, the group was quite exhausted, not physically, but because it was the first day of business and they were on edge, afraid of making a mistake. When it was time to light the lamps, the shop door was finally closed. She invited her family to stay for dinner, and after seeing off Wang Shi, her niece-in-law, and others, Lu Mingui, along with Song Xiaoqiu and Granny Huang, began to reconcile the accounts. Chapter 273 Settling Accounts. Lu Mingui opened the ledger, which already listed the names, quantities, purchase prices, or costs of various rouges. As for the skincare products she brought back from the future, she had another ledger. They use red banknotes over there, but they sell silver here, so she has to calculate it separately. Song Xiaoqiu was in charge of counting the copper coins, and after counting the copper coins, she used a steelyard to weigh the silver. Granny Huang was counting how much rouge and face powder was left on the counter. The three of them kept going back and forth until the next morning, and only then did they finally understand. Old Mrs. Huang reported first. We sold 7 boxes of complete skincare sets. 1 box of ginseng, 3 boxes of lingzi, and 3 boxes of milk lotion. Lu Mingui quickly calculated. Ginseng and Ganoderma lucidum are both 88 taels of silver, and milk is 38 taels. That should be 466 taels of silver. After saying that, he subtracted the number of items sold from the ledger and then added the amount of silver back. Meanwhile, Granny Huang continued to report the numbers. 12 bottles of single-bottle milk lotion were sold, each costing 8 yuan of silver. Lu Mingui added, the total is 9 taels and 6 mace. 2 flowers in your hair. 8 taels of silver. The two of them worked together seamlessly, one reporting and the other calculating. In the end, after deducting costs, we actually made a profit of 680 taels, 6 yuan, and 52 wen. Of course, you also have to pay taxes. The most basic transaction tax is 1/30, and there is also a stall tax, but you can still make a lot of money even after paying taxes. Old Mrs. Huang was overjoyed. Master, today is truly a great start. Our business will definitely become more and more successful in the future, since even the county magistrate's wife uses our rouge. Lu Mingui was also happy. A good start was great, at least it meant they had gained a foothold. She brought up another matter. I discussed with you before that I would give you 100 taels of silver a year as wages. You refused to take it, saying you were afraid that business was not good these days. With the current momentum, business won't be bad, so don't refuse again. Huang Ying's eyes immediately reddened. She choked up as she said, Boss, you were willing to help me back then, you helped me pay the rent and even took me in. If it weren't for you, I don't know where I would be lying here waiting to die. Perhaps he'll plunge into the Grand Canal and join my good-for-nothing son in his company. Where else can we find people who are well-fed and warmly clothed like we do now? She grasped Lu Mingui's hand and said sincerely, I don't want any money. Our shop has just opened, and there's a lot to do. We should save this money for the shop. I ask for nothing else, except that I have no children in this life. If I grow old in the future, I hope that my master will help me with my funeral arrangements so that I can leave in peace. Lu Mingui naturally understood her concerns and quickly agreed, since you have no children, our family will be your relatives. I will take care of you in your old age and ensure you have enough to eat and wear. She initially felt sorry for Granny Huang, but later she saw that Granny Huang was indeed quite skilled at making rouge and face powder. Today, I saw that she was very capable, whether it was greeting guests or improvising. I stumbled upon a valuable assistant by sheer luck. He then comforted her, saying, if that day really comes, I will take care of the funeral arrangements, so don't worry. When the time comes, Xiaodong will dress you in mourning clothes, break the basin and wave the banner, and treat you like her own mother. This was exactly what Granny Huang had asked for, and she was immediately overjoyed. Master, I dare to call you a sister. With your words, I can rest assured. Lu Mingui patted her hand. However, you still have to accept this money. As the two were talking, Song Xiaoqiu said anxiously, Mother, Aunt, the silver I weighed here is wrong. The two looked at Song Xiaoqiu and said in unison, too much or too little. It's short 88 taels. And it's also short 12 coins. Granny Huang was startled. So much is missing. The missing 12 coins might have been due to a mistake when collecting the money, but 88 taels of silver shouldn't be short. Cold sweat broke out on her back. Lu Mingui was startled at first, but then she thought, don't panic, I know about this silver. She went around behind the counter and pretended to take out the bag of silver that Lady Lu had given her. Look, it's here. There were many people around, so she took the money and secretly hid it inside the White House. I forgot to take it out earlier. Old Mrs. Huang slapped her thigh. So it's this money. I almost forgot. It's the bottle that was broken by Manager Wang's family. Isn't that the money we lost? Song Xiaoqiu patted her chest. So that's how it is. I was almost scared to death, afraid that something might go wrong. Now everything is clear. Lu Mingui then asked Granny Huang about what happened that day. Is this the family that robbed your shop? Old Lady Huang nodded and recounted the story. It turned out that the shop belonged to the Wang family, and the Wang family had several managers, including Manager Wang II. Shopkeeper Wang wanted to open a rouge shop, and he took a liking to Granny Huang's skills. So he had his family open a restaurant next to Granny Huang's, actually keeping an eye on Granny Huang and trying to learn her skills. However, Granny Huang was cautious and did not let Wang Er's wife succeed. When he failed to learn the trade, Manager Wang Er became desperate, which led to the incident of smashing up the shop that day. The troublemaker Wang Niangzi today is none other than Wang Er Zonggui's wife. They're deliberately causing trouble now that our shop has opened. Unexpectedly, they were caught red-handed by Master Wang's daughter-in-law. Master Wang is Manager Wang's boss. No matter how much he lets his men cause trouble, he can't do it in front of the magistrate's wife. That's why Lady Lu stepped forward and had Lady Wang punished. Lu Mingui pondered to himself, guessing that this matter must have been instigated by Master Wang, otherwise Manager Wang would not have been so arrogant. Perhaps there were some suspicious circumstances surrounding the death of Granny Huang's gambling son. Song Xiaoqiu asked in confusion, Auntie, could it be that they don't know about the Zhang family and our family? She was talking about her engagement to Zhang Yuanzhou, but before she could finish speaking, her face turned red. Logically speaking, one should consider whether or not one is capable of bullying others. Old woman Huang laughed first, then said, these people are used to being arrogant, and they've bribed the government, so naturally they're not afraid. This isn't the first time. They just think you're from the north, powerless and insignificant, and don't bother with you. He sneered again, HMPH, it's just a pity they've kicked a hornet's nest this time. Look, Lady Lu must have come with the female relatives of the clerk today. I reckon things are going to get tough for this clerk. She was happy to see the Wang family suffer a setback. The group carefully considered what they had done poorly that day and how to improve for tomorrow. The lights in the shop were finally turned off at the end of the 7 p.m. In the days leading up to its opening, Ronghua Pavilion enjoyed a very good business. After the first 3 days, no more lucky draws are given out. Instead, the shop prepares jujube tea or brown sugar water to serve the customers. The shop gradually started to have repeat customers. Chapter 274 Seed. Business gradually stabilized, but we cannot always be content with stability. So Lu Mingui would occasionally organize promotional activities. For example, giving out lucky draws or holding raffles. Lu Yunxi taught her a lot of promotional techniques, which she used in the store. In fact, the Ming Dynasty also had many opening events. However, because the costs on both sides are different, many things are very cheap for the Ming Dynasty, so Lu Mingui is able to do it from time to time without losing money. No other family is as wealthy and powerful as this. With these methods, plus the fact that the shop's products were already of good quality, business got better and better. Later, they added special lip rouge, lip gloss, and BB cream, which gradually became unique in Suzhou Prefecture. As Song Xiaoqiu and the others gradually got the hang of it, they became adept at both entertaining guests and making sales. Granny Huang is always full of energy and enthusiasm. Wages are a must, of course, plus commission. Even the apricot blossoms are very active. When there was nothing to do at the shop, Lu Mingui would go with his older brother and others to clear land on the mountain. Although she wasn't like her nephew Lu Yongkong, who only knew how to bury himself in farming, she felt very happy being with the land and crops. In recent days, more than half of the hilltop has been cleared. That day, several people went up the mountain together, carrying hoes and sickles. At the front was Lu Wenli, who was using a sickle to cut down the dry thatch, while his 2 grandsons followed behind, picking up dead branches. Behind them, Lu Yongkong and Song Xiaodong were digging and turning the soil, breaking up any large clods to loosen the soil so it would be easier to plant. Lu Mingui climbed to a high place and carefully looked at the mountain area. The entire hilltop was originally covered with weeds, but the southeast corner had been cleared by the Lu family, revealing brown soil. The remaining area has a few beech trees, but they are sparse. And none of them have grown into timber. There were also a few holly, firethorn, mulberry, pine, and even bamboo. The hilltop was never maintained by its original owner, so it's filled with all sorts of odds and ends. She pondered how to divide these areas so that all the hilltops could be planted with things. We need to buy the seeds early. At this rate, we can cover the entire hilltop in no time. Just then, Lu Wenli called out from the mountainside, "Hey, winter bamboo shoots. We've dug up winter bamboo shoots. Little sister, come and see, there are lots of winter bamboo shoots here." Lu Mingui was overjoyed. He had recently dug up a lot of wild vegetables on the mountain, such as shepherd's purse and black purse, but he didn't expect to find winter bamboo shoots as well. Winter bamboo shoots are sweet, thick, and tender with no fibrous parts. They taste delicious no matter how you eat them. She rushed over and saw Lu Yongkong dig out a plump winter bamboo shoot with a single stroke of his hoe. Then came another shovel, and another one. Lu Mingui hurriedly said, "Brother, let's keep this bamboo grove. We can dig up bamboo shoots to eat every year from now on." Lu Wenli naturally listened to her, and pointed to the few fruit trees left by the former employer, saying, "I asked around, and these bayberry trees need to be pruned now, otherwise they will get infested with insects. Loquat trees should be pruned in the fall because they are in bloom now, and the fruit will be ready to eat in March or April." Lu Mingui had never seen bayberry or loquat trees before, but she had seen peach trees quite often. "Now that I've heard that my older brother has already inquired about how to plant it, I'll just let him do whatever he wants." She took a bamboo basket and picked up all the winter bamboo shoots. "We kept some at home and sent the rest to Shuyang." Upon seeing so many plump, white winter bamboo shoots, Shuyang gave a thumbs up. "These are truly fresh and delicious. It's already April, and we can still find such good winter bamboo shoots. Is it that preservation technology you use at home again? It looks like it was just dug out of the mud." Of course, Lu Mingui couldn't tell him the truth, so she just laughed it off. She then asked, "You said last time that you can grow things like shepherd's purse. Is that true?" Shuyang nodded. "That's right, would I lie to you? Are you planning to grow wild vegetables? Then please remember not to use chemical fertilizers, only organic fertilizers, and let the wild vegetables grow naturally. Otherwise, the flavor will change." Seeing his serious tone, Lu Mingui, though she didn't know about chemical fertilizers and pesticides, already knew what organic fertilizer was, and quickly nodded to assure him, "Don't worry, I'll only use some farmyard manure." He pressed further, "Just tell me, where can I buy the seeds?" Shuyang then replied, "The most convenient way is online shopping. There are plenty of seed shops online. But I don't know if the torrents online are any good. What if I buy a fake one? That would cause a lot of trouble." Lu Mingui thought this was absolutely right. If you plant it and take good care of it for a month or two, but it doesn't sprout at all, then the sky is falling. "Where else can I buy it?" Shuyang took out his phone. "Let me search it up." He opened a map app, typed in the word, seed, and several locations quickly appeared. XX Agricultural Supplies, XX Seed and Pesticide Shop, XX Seed Industry. Scrolling down, you'll find more than a dozen seed shops. Shuyang pointed it out to her. "Auntie, there are quite a few places that sell seeds, but I don't know if they have shepherd's purse seeds. I can't leave right now. Why don't you go and ask first? Let me call you a taxi. There's a shop here that's not far from the market." Upon hearing that it wasn't far from the vegetable market, Lu Mingui thought, why bother taking a car? "Let's just walk from the White House." She waved her hand. "No need for a car, I'll go by myself. You go about your business." Shuyang was still a little worried. "Can we really find it? It's so far away. Don't get lost." "Where would you get lost?" Lu Mingui asked, holding her phone. "How did you create that map just now?" Shuyang didn't react immediately. "What picture?" Map. Lu Mingui quickly explained. "It's the one you just opened on your phone." Shuyang understood, took her phone, found the map app, and searched for the seed shop. "Look, it's right behind the market," Lu Mingui said. "Then I'll go back to the vegetable market first and then buy the seeds." Shuyang nodded. "It's very close, we can just walk there." Fearing that Lu Mingui might not know how to use navigation, he pointed to the navigation and said, "The blue line above is the route you need to take. This little figure represents you, and there's an arrow on it, which indicates direction. There are also voice prompts." He explained in great detail. Lu Mingui took back her phone, thanked him, and then left. She went back to the White House first, then to the vegetable market. As soon as she stepped out of the gate, She took out her phone, the screen still showing the map. Lu Mingui looked at the arrow and walked to her right. This was the first time she had ever walked outside alone. In the past, most of the time it was in the vegetable market, or by taking a car from the garage to other places. The feeling right now is different from sitting in a car. Although my feet are on the ground, I still feel a bit lightheaded. Chapter 275 Pedestrian Street. Lu Mingui walked forward along the road outside the vegetable market, the arrow on her phone steadily pointing ahead. A prompt sounded. Turn left in 50 meters ahead. We need to cross the street. How can we get through this? The wide road is at least 20 or 30 meters long, with cars of all sizes weaving through it. Most of them are black and white, but there are also yellow, red, and blue ones, all whizzing by. There were also many white lines painted on the road. Lu Mingui stood by the roadside, watching all kinds of cars come and go. In the past, people in the town had been trampled to death by horses, and cars were faster than horse-drawn carriages and ox-carts, so if they collided with one, there was no way to avoid it. She regretted it a little. She had taken the bus several times, only looking at the scenery outside the window, without paying attention to how people crossed the road. Fortunately, it was midday and there were fewer and fewer cars. She was about to try to move forward when she was suddenly grabbed from behind. A somewhat cynical voice rang out from above. "Grandma, look at the traffic lights. Stop at red lights, go at green lights. It's wrong of you to run a red light like that. If something happens, it will harm both yourself and others. You can't just do whatever you want because you're old." And he doesn't look very old. Lu Mingui was grabbed by the collar, and when she turned around, she saw a red-haired young man. The red-haired guy was very tall and thin, with sunglasses on his face, looking quite like a spoiled brat. Although his words were harsh, he was a good person. Lu Mingui quickly thanked him. "Thank you so much, I'm just too old to see clearly." Moreover, the red hair on this head is not unusual. As Sister Yang said, red, yellow, and green hair are all dyed. It looks just like the traffic lights in front of me, very dazzling. The red-haired guy pursed his lips and didn't say anything more. Lu Mingui didn't want to make a fool of herself, and just then the green light turned on, so she quickly stepped forward. The red-haired young man walked slowly behind her, but he inadvertently glanced at the wooden hairpin in her hair and chuckled to himself, "What era is this? There are still such old-fashioned wooden hairpins." Then I thought, maybe I'm too old and don't have much of an aesthetic sense anymore. For some reason, he felt that the wooden hairpin looked somewhat familiar. But I can't remember where I saw it before. Thinking of this, he took out his phone, intending to secretly take a picture, hoping to remember it someday. Just as I took my phone out, a call came in. He answered. "Hey, little Li, are you back in the country yet?" Li Zian said from the other end. "No, Fang Jian, I have something to ask you. I saw a blue and white porcelain plum vase with dragon design in England and sent you a picture. Could you help me check if it's from the Wanli period of the Ming Dynasty? If it is, I'll buy it." Fang Jian hummed in agreement. "I just went to have lunch and I'm on my way back to the shop now. Send it to me, and I'll take a look right away." Then, she asked with a puzzled look, "Why has your family started buying these kinds of things in the last few years? Did your parents buy a few items while they were abroad before?" Li Zian explained, "It's nothing, it's just that seeing our ancestors' things scattered abroad makes me feel very frustrated. Besides, my parents support me. Alright, let's not talk about that anymore. Hurry up and take a look. If it's true, I'll have to make my move." Fang Jian agreed and hung up the phone. By then, he had reached the other side of the road, so he stopped and opened WeChat. The photo shows a blue and white porcelain plum vase with a dragon design. The cobalt blue glaze has a purplish tinge, and the dragon design is very imposing. There are a few more photos, showing the bottle opening, body, and bottom. He sent a voice message back. "If it's authenticated as genuine, this plum vase is worth at least 3 or 4 million. Be careful, or you'll get ripped off." Li Zian did not answer. Fang Jian held his phone and then remembered the old lady he had just seen. He looked up and searched around, but she was nowhere to be seen. Lu Mingui walked carefully along the sidewalk, the midday sun shining warmly on her. The trees along the roadside are already covered with green leaves. This is the most comfortable season of the year. She walked with great energy, glancing at the shops along the road every now and then. When her phone alerted her to another turn, she knew she needed to look at the traffic lights. "If you walk any further, you'll reach a pedestrian street. The ground is paved with smooth stone slabs, and on both sides are antique yet brand new shops. This gave Lu Mingui a sense of returning to the Ming Dynasty. However, the constant WeChat payment notifications coming from both sides told her that this was just an imitation ancient street. The pedestrian street was bustling. They sell milk tea, snacks, clothes, accessories, antiques, you name it, they have it all, a dazzling array. Lu Mingui had drunk milk tea before, and she missed its sweet taste, but when she went over to take a look, she changed her mind. What? It's so precious, it costs 10 or 20 yuan for just a small cup. She shook her head and hurried away. A few steps further, the smell of stinky tofu filled the air. Despite the stench, it attracted quite a crowd. Lu Mingui watched with a smile. This stinky tofu was supposedly created by Emperor Hongwu, but she didn't know if it was true or not. As she walked, she saw someone holding up a plate of samples to attract customers. Try our honey chicken cake. Genuine free-range eggs, without a drop of water added. Before Lu Mingui could dodge, a toothpick was shoved into her hand, with a small piece of golden sponge cake stuck on it. Now that she knows it's a genuine free trial, she didn't stand on ceremony. With each bite, the cake is fluffy and moist, with the aroma of milk and eggs, and the sweetness of honey. The bottom of the cake is also slightly caramelized. When the saleswoman saw her stop, she quickly tried to sell her wares. Auntie, why don't you buy a pound to try? Grand opening special today, 10 yuan and 90 fen per pound. They're all fresh out of the oven. Buy 2 pounds and get half a pound free. Lu Mingui already thought it was delicious, and after eating it, she felt embarrassed to refuse. She followed the girl for a few steps and saw that the cake shop was bustling with activity. 3 huge wooden baskets lined with parchment paper were placed on the counter, and the freshly baked sponge cakes were steaming hot and smelled delicious. Lu Mingui thought that she could buy some to take home and eat. If a lady or young lady from any family comes to buy skincare products, they can also be used to entertain guests. She asked, buy 2 pounds and get half a pound free. If I buy 8 pounds, will I get 2 pounds free? Hearing this, the man weighing the goods inside quickly replied, sure, you bought a lot, I'll give you 2.5 pounds for free. How about I give you an extra half jin? Lu Mingui nodded quickly, thank you so much. You're welcome, please scan the QR code to pay over there. The total was 87 yuan and 20 cents, and they said not a penny less. Lu Mingui scanned the code to pay, received the chicken cake, and then hurriedly walked forward. Today's main purpose is to buy seeds, so I can't waste time on the pedestrian street. She hadn't walked far before she secretly put away the sponge cake in her hand. After passing several snack shops, Lu Mingui spotted a silk shop. There was a shelf by the door, covered with a dense array of silk scarves, all looking as light and thin as gauze, in various patterns. This is quite beautiful. Lu Mingui couldn't help but stop walking again. Upon closer inspection, it also reads, silk scarves, 2 for 10 yuan. It's made of real silk, and it's so cheap. The cloth shop next door, owned by Madame Su, mainly sells cotton cloth, as well as linen cloth, and some silk and satin, though less common. She remembered asking and finding out that a piece of jacquard brocade cost 8 taels of silver, while a piece of satin with a dark pattern cost 8 taels. If the silk handkerchiefs here are really that cheap, I might as well buy some to take home. Chapter 276 Silk Scarf. Just then, a young girl came out and greeted her, Auntie, would you like to buy a scarf? Come in and have a look. We have lots of scarves and shawls, we're sure to find something that suits you. You can try on any of the ones you like, there are mirrors inside. She was so enthusiastic that she pulled Lu Mingui into the shop as she spoke. Lu Mingui had been wanting to go in and take a look, so he followed her inside. This place is much more upscale than the clothing stores in the market. Besides rows of thin silk scarves and thick shawls, the remaining area was filled with silk clothing, including skirts, tops, and pants. All the headlights in the store were on, making the clothes glitter so brightly that no one dared to touch them. There were green plants in the corner, and a tall, thin mannequin dressed in clothes stood in the shop window. There was also a woman tidying something up. Lu Mingui followed behind the girl, looked around, and immediately felt like backing out. This place is so clean and bright, it looks expensive. The woman began her introduction. Our shop sells high-end silk scarves, and over here are intangible cultural heritage items such as song brocade and suzhou embroidery. Look at this silk scarf. It's made of 16 mom mulberry silk twill and digitally printed, so the colors are delicate and won't fade. Look at its luster, it's like a pearl. Upon hearing this, Lu Mingui didn't dare to touch it. Although she has been using skincare products, such as hand cream, her rough skin on her hands won't become soft and delicate so quickly. Besides, I had been clearing land on the mountain for the past 2 days, and my hands were very rough. I could easily fray the silk scarf with just a touch. The girl didn't notice and continued, this one is on special right now, only 880 yuan. Lu Mingui chuckled and muttered to herself, 880 yuan. Such a small piece of cloth, I might as well sell myself. But old women are worthless now, no one would buy them even for a tael of silver. The girl, hearing what she was muttering, quickly asked, what did you say? I didn't hear you clearly. Lu Mingui could only stammer, Miss, actually I just want to buy those silk scarves by the door. Those look nice and are cheap. The girl's enthusiasm vanished, and her expression darkened considerably, those at the door. Hee, it's not real silk, it's a blend. Of course, even if it's a silk blend, the price is extremely low, so each person is limited to 2 items. Lu Mingui was dumbfounded, limited to 2 per person. I wanted to buy more. The girl scoffed, you'd like to, wouldn't you? To tell you the truth, those are all used to attract traffic. It's about attracting people and so we can sell them the overpriced items in the store, do you understand? Even if Lu Mingui didn't understand, she knew this wasn't a nice thing to say. If that's the case, why stay any longer? She turned and left, and as she pushed open the door, she heard the girl say to another person in the store, I must have been blind. I didn't see what she was wearing. She was covered in polyester fiber, and I brought her into the store. The woman who was sorting the goods chimed in, exactly. What are they wearing? They look so shabby. Let me tell you, next time you'd better keep a close eye on things, don't just bring any Tom, Dick, or Harry into the shop. If the boss sees this, he'll be unhappy. Watch out, he might dock your pay. The girl chuckled, Sister Lin, you're so experienced. You fooled that woman so much this morning that you sold her for several thousand yuan, right? The commission must be several hundred yuan, I'm so envious. He added, why am I so unlucky? I haven't sold a single item all day. My salary this month is only 2,500 again. Sister Lin smiled smugly, that's right. Don't I have a good eye? I could smell poverty even before that old hag came in. You'll see next time, don't bother with people like that, it's a waste of your breath. Lu Mingui hadn't left yet. Her hand was still on the handle when someone started chirping like that, which immediately annoyed her. She had met many kind people in her later life, and this was the first time she had encountered someone like this. How can you two talk like that? It was because you put up a sign at the store entrance that said, real silk scarves, 2 for 10 yuan, that I came in. Besides, even if I can't afford it, do you have to insult me like this? The girl crossed her arms and said, PFF'd, what did I do to insult you? What did we say wrong? It's just that you can't afford it. You poor wretch, next time you should be careful. If you can't afford anything in our shop, don't come in and dirty our floor. Tisk tisk, why does it smell a bit sour and rotten to me? Another woman laughed and said, what sour smell? That's called the smell of poverty. All right, old woman, hurry up and go. Don't block the door and affect our business, or you'll regret it. Lu Mingui was furious and simply stood at the door and refused to leave. Come on, I'll see how you're going to make this old woman suffer. Just as they were at an impasse, a fat man with big ears came over from the side. Seeing Lu Mingui blocking the doorway, he asked sternly, what are you doing? Before Lu Mingui could speak, the young girl inside called out sweetly, Boss tilde tilde. He then complained, this old woman not only can't afford to buy anything from the store, but she also blocks the door and refuses to leave. The shop owner first gave the young girl a lecherous smile, then scolded, if you can't afford to buy anything, don't block the way here. You're ruining my business. I'll have someone beat you to death. As he spoke, he forced his way in, his large body causing Lu Mingui to stumble. Lu Mingui was already thin and weak. After being bumped like that, she lost her balance and fell backward, landing on her knees. A burning pain immediately shot through my knee. There were quite a few people on the pedestrian street, and they all gathered around when they saw this. When someone saw her fall, they quickly reached out to help her up, saying, look, he's the one who knocked you down. I was just trying to help you up. Lu Mingui didn't understand why this person added that sentence, and quickly thanked him. The fat boss didn't take it seriously, and sneered, I was the one who hit you, so what? You didn't die. Are you coming to arrest me? You old hag, are you trying to scam me? Trying to get gold coins out of me? Dream on. You won't get a single penny. Chapter 277 Dismissal. Ignoring the pain in her leg, Lu Mingui said very seriously to the group, I don't understand what exploding gold coins means. However, my family is also in business, but it's not the kind of business you run. The woman inside the shop sneered, your family runs a business. Haha, you're not selling vegetables, are you? Selling vegetables is no business. Don't make this sound funny. Lu Mingui was surprised that this woman had such a sharp eye, actually recognizing that she was a vegetable seller. But what's so funny about selling vegetables? I never even dared to dream of making so much money. She said, I may sell vegetables, but I live an honest and down-to-earth life. Unlike you guys, you have signs at the door saying it's real silk scarves, but when you go in and ask, you just say it's some kind of blend. Isn't this a lie? You guys are so dishonest. The fat man didn't care at all and yelled, so what? What's wrong with that? Go ahead and sue me if you dare. Two women stood behind him, both looking at Lu Mingui with mockery. Yeah, go ahead and sue, what can they do? Lu Mingui was speechless with anger. She really didn't know what to do with these people. This man was just like a local ruffian from the Ming Dynasty, with extremely thick skin. I definitely can't win by fighting, and I can't kill people with a bow and arrow either. I can't even hunt pheasants. If I shoot someone, who knows what crime I'll be committing. I don't know if reporting it to the authorities would be an option. Seeing that she stubbornly stood there and refused to leave, the people around her all advised her, Grandma, just give up. It's pointless to argue with this kind of person. Seeing that everyone was powerless, the fat man became even more arrogant. Aren't you all going to get out of here? If you can't afford it, don't embarrass yourself. They're all pickled cucumbers. Just then, the crowd was parted. 4 or 5 men in sharp suits parted the crowd and escorted a middle-aged woman inside. This person was Lu Yunxi. Just now, Lu Yunxi thought she had misread it. She was just inspecting the commercial street where the Lu family had invested. How could she possibly run into her own ancestor? As far as she knew, her ancestors always lived a simple life, going to the market, staying at home, and at most, visiting Mi farm. Moreover, all these places are accessed through that space. How did it end up on the pedestrian street? She couldn't help but walk over and ask, Grandma, what are you doing here? Lu Mingui turned around when she heard the familiar voice and came face to face with Lu Yunxi. Before she could explain, Lu Yunxi had already noticed the mud on her knee and the cut she had scraped. Did he fall down, or were you beaten up? Her gaze instantly sharpened as she looked directly at the portly boss inside the glass door. Speak, what's going on? The chubby boss still looked nonchalant. What's going on? Who do you think you are? Who gives you the right to point fingers here? He spat and said, what the hell is going on today? 1 or 2 old women are trying to pick a fight with me. I'm telling you women, you're all too old. You should have retired long ago and gone home to take care of your grandchildren. What are you doing out here causing trouble? Lu Yunxi sneered and said to her assistant, check who rented this storefront. Get the information. The sound was quite loud, causing the 2 women behind the fat man to burst out laughing. The young woman exclaimed, my God, this is absolutely insane. Where did this old woman come from, acting like a domineering CEO here? The older woman laughed and said, Boss, isn't your uncle a manager of the pedestrian street? Tell him to have his men kick all the old women out. What are you pretending for? Lu Yunxi looked at the group expressionlessly. You keep calling me an old woman, what? You're not going to live to old age. The fat man immediately yelled, hey, how dare you talk like that? Who's saying they won't live to old age? His hands were itching to strike, and he charged at Lu Yunxi with a fist raised. The crowd gasped in surprise. That fat guy has huge fists. One punch from him could kill someone half to death. But in the end, it was the fat man who was knocked to the ground. It was Lu Yunxi and her men who made the move. Those assistants were not only clerical assistants, but they also had some martial arts skills. Dealing with a fat, bloated person was no problem at all. Soon, a lump of meat slammed heavily onto the ground and trembled 3 times. The fat man was in so much pain that he couldn't get up and writhed on the ground, howling in agony. Help! Someone's been assaulted. I'm going to sue you. None of you will leave this street today. Lily, stop them. Don't let any of them leave. How could the 2 women dare to stop them? Another person rushed over from outside the crowd, also dressed in a black suit, and shouted at the fat man, what are you doing? This is Chairman Lu of Mingda, who is here for an inspection today. The fat man was still lying on the ground, acting like a spoiled child. When he heard this he was dumbfounded. Uncle, are you serious? This old woman is the chairwoman of Mingda. How is that possible? Although she looks quite imposing, she's just a woman. His uncle stamped his foot in frustration. How dare you call me an old woman? I don't think you want to keep this shop open. Lu Yunxi said calmly, it's not a matter of whether he wants to or not, but whether I will allow it. Alright, you can all pack up and leave. Go home and be arrogant if you want. Mingda doesn't have employees like you. He then said to his assistant, Xiao Zhang, you stay and handle this. Don't let this go on overnight. I have other things to do. Xiao Zhang nodded quickly. Okay, Chairman Lu. The fat man sullenly yelled at Lu Yunxi's retreating figure. Fine, I'll leave, but this contract is for 5 years. The store has only been open for 2 years. I demand you pay the penalty for breach of contract. Come and see, everyone. This is what Mingda Group has done. They're clearly taking advantage of our powerless and helpless lives. They just kick people out like that. Don't they have any sense of the law? Before he could finish speaking, his uncle started kicking the fat man wildly, yelling, what nonsense are you spouting? If you want to die, don't drag me down with you. Lu Yunxi smiled enigmatically. The longest contracts for storefronts in this area are 3 years. Where did this 5-year contract come from? Xiao Zhao, notify the regional manager to call a meeting. It seems our Mingda has a lot more parasites. Several assistants got busy. Lu Yunxi helped Lu Mingui sit on a bench not far away and asked carefully, Grandma, are you hurt anywhere? His hands kept moving as he rolled up Lu Mingui's trouser legs. Lu Mingui was still embarrassed and refused, saying, I'm fine, we're on the street. What's wrong with that? I've seen paintings of ancient people trying to cool off in the summer, and they weren't conservative at all. Lu Mingui retorted, that's in the backyard. Look how many people are watching now. Who cares if they watch it or not? People don't care about these things these days. Lu Yunxi was adamant and quickly rolled up her trousers to her knees, which were red and swollen with blood seeping out. Ouch, the skin is all broken. I need to disinfect it and bandage it. Come on, I'll drive you to the hospital. Lu Mingui looked at it and said, what's this? It's just a minor cut. I'm fine, I don't need to get bandaged. Don't you have something to do? Go ahead and get busy. Chapter 278 Silk. Lu Yunxi laughed and said, you got into trouble on my turf, how could I not take responsibility for you? Let's go, it'll be quick. Lu Mingui didn't think anything of it and pointed to the navigation on her phone, saying, I'm going to buy seeds. We're almost there, so we might as well buy the seeds first and save ourselves the trouble of coming all the way here next time. Lu Yunxi looked around and saw that it wasn't far at all. The display showed it was right behind the pedestrian street. Okay then, there's a community hospital here, let's go get disinfected and bandaged up. I'll walk with you there. Lu Mingui did not refuse again. The two supported each other as they walked towards the back of the pedestrian street, just like ordinary good friends. Does this street also belong to the Lu family? Hearing the ancestor's question, Lu Yunxi nodded. Yes, back then many places built pedestrian streets, and our family invested in one too. I never expected to encounter something like this. Our ancestor has been wrong this time. Lu Mingui laughed and said, life is never smooth sailing. This is nothing. Speaking of which, I'm really lucky to have run into you. Lu Yunxi advised her. Next time you encounter someone like this, don't confront him directly. After you leave, report him to the fire department or call the Consumer Association to complain that he is selling counterfeit goods. There are plenty of solutions. Lu Mingui laughed and said, you seem to know a lot. He then asked, I thought those silk handkerchiefs were nice today, otherwise I wouldn't have gone into the shop. And it's cheap too, and it looks pretty good. Which ones do you like? I'll give them to you. Lu Mingui waved her hand. It's not that I like it. I don't usually need silk or silk fabrics. They're not durable. I was thinking that if I bought more, I could give them to guests, and maybe it would be another business opportunity. Lu Yunxi's eyes lit up. Yes, we can take them back and sell them. The Silk Road existed during the reign of Emperor Wu of Han, and it reached its peak during the Ming Dynasty. She recalled what she had read in her history books. After the Portuguese were allowed to reside in Macau, it became a transit point for the silk trade. Yugang and Zhongzhou, Fujian, became a legal port for private overseas trade, and silk brought back a lot of silver for the Ming Dynasty. Grandma, I'm sending someone to help you take the silk back to sell. Lu Mingui hesitated for a moment. Will this work? She originally only intended to buy some finished products and try it out on a small scale. Are you worried about affecting other people's business? Lu Yunxi asked. She remembered her ancestors saying that there was a cloth shop next door. Lu Mingui shook her head. That's not it. The neighbors all use cotton cloth and coarse cloth. They hardly use silk. It certainly won't affect her business. That's settled then. You can go back and check the price, and then we can discuss it further. As they were talking, the two looked up and saw the community hospital. The community hospital had a slight medicinal smell, but it could handle basic injuries. There weren't many people inside. Lu Mingui sat on a row of chairs, watching Lu Yunxi register and pay. Then you just wait for your number to be called. Lu Mingui said, you've worked hard, running around all day. Please sit down and rest. Then, out of curiosity, he asked, is this the hospital? I heard Sister Yang say before that some people couldn't have children, but the hospital could help and cure them. Lu Yunxi chuckled. Who says it can be cured? It depends on the specific cause of the illness. Besides, this is just a community hospital. If you really need to see a doctor, you still need to go to a top-tier hospital or above. Why did you ask that? Lu Mingui laughed when asked, and then told him about Song Xiaoqiu. Initially, I was afraid that Xiaoqiu couldn't get pregnant, but as you said last time, according to the family genealogy, Xiaoqiu has children. Of course there is, Lu Yunxi nodded. That's your granddaughter, our family's ancestor. Don't worry. As they were chatting, the doctor called her number, and Lu Yunxi quickly helped her inside. Lu Mingui felt a little scared. She saw that the doctor was wearing a snow-white coat and his face was covered, with only his eyes showing. Fortunately, he spoke very gently, asked about the basic situation, and then checked it by hand. There shouldn't be any fractures. If you're still worried, you can go to a major hospital for an X-ray. Let me treat your wound first. Then they cleaned and disinfected the wound, and applied a layer of ointment. Lu Yunxi hurriedly asked, shouldn't you wrap it with gauze? The doctor shook his head. That's fine. The wound should be exposed, and it shouldn't get wet for the next couple of days. Lu Yunxi was finally relieved, and Lu Mingui laughed at her. Don't I know my own body? She pointed to the scar on the back of her foot. When we were harvesting wheat here, I got cut by the sickle. And nothing happened to me, did I? I have some here too, I've managed to get through them all. Lu Yunxi felt both distressed and annoyed. You're really not taking care of your health. It will be more convenient for you to come over in the future. If you have any minor ailments, don't try to bear them on your own. If you need to see a doctor, then go. Look how convenient it is here. There's a pharmacy every 3 steps, a community hospital every 2 blocks, and plenty of large hospitals too. Lu Mingui nodded in agreement, but refused to agree to the suggestion that any minor ailments should be treated. That doctor looks scary. Lu Yunxi didn't try to persuade her anymore. Following the navigation, she arrived at a store that sold seeds. The store was piled high with seeds, various fertilizers, and pesticides, and the smell was quite pungent. Lu Mingui was very impressed. These were all good things. The shop owner was pressing the calculator when he looked up and was taken aback to see the 2 men. One looked like a farmer, honest and simple, while the other looked like a successful entrepreneur. Anyway, it was quite strange to see the 2 of them standing together. He casually asked, what are you buying? Lu Mingui was already stunned, so Lu Yunxi answered for her, do you have any wild vegetable seeds here? The shopkeeper countered, what kind of wild vegetable seeds do you want? I have several kinds in my shop. Lu Mingui was delighted. What kinds are there? Let me see. The boss pointed behind the counter and rattled off a bunch of names. Look, there's noodle greens, dandelions, shepherd's purse, purslane, garland chrysanthemum, wild celery, heart-saving greens, winter greens, and lots more. It depends on what you want. Lu Yunxi didn't quite understand, so she asked, is it easy to grow? The boss snorted, what's this about easy or difficult planting? It depends on the season and the weather. Who can say for sure? I can only guarantee that all the seeds in the store are the correct varieties. I will absolutely not give you weed seeds. Upon hearing this, Lu Mingui inquired about the price of shepherd's purse seeds. How much per pound? My family has 40 acres of land, how much do you want to buy? The boss was a little surprised. 40 acres. All planted with shepherd's purse. Isn't that a bit risky? But I'll still calculate it for her. 40 mu of land, each mu requires 2 jin of seeds, let's say 3 jin. Shepherd's purse seeds cost 55 yuan per kilogram, which means 165 yuan per unit of land area totaling 6,600 yuan. This time, Lu Mingui didn't mind the price. Seeds have always been treasures. It doesn't matter if they're expensive or not, what matters is that they're genuine and can still germinate. Chapter 279 Laba Kanji. The owner added, however, shepherd's purse is cold resistant and should be planted in autumn and winter so that it can be eaten fresh in spring. It's a bit late now. Purslane is in season right now, the weather is warm, and it sprouts quickly. Lu Mingui thought to herself, it's warm here, but it's still cold where I am. The shepherd's purse is just right here. However, since there are so many wild vegetable seeds, there's no need to focus on buying shepherd's purse, it's better to get some of each kind. After all, the purpose of growing wild vegetables is to supply the farm with vegetables. You can't send shepherd's purse over every day, or the people will turn green with envy. She said, then bring some of all kinds of seeds. Although the boss didn't know exactly what she was going to do, he still advised her, if you've never grown this before, you should take it easy. It's not too late to expand after gaining some experience. I suggest you don't plant all 40 acres at once. Lu Mingui thought this made perfect sense and considered it carefully again. Based on what the shop owner said, I bought a certain number of kilograms of seeds per acre, including common wild vegetables such as noodle greens, dandelions, shepherd's purse, and purslane. The boss also gave me a book that taught me how to grow wild vegetables. When is the best time to sow seeds? Is it better to broadcast or sow in individual spots? Everything was explained clearly. In the end, I bought seeds worth 5 or 6,000 yuan. The boss also tried to sell her several kinds of fertilizers, including nitrogen fertilizer, phosphate fertilizer, and compound fertilizer. Lu Mingui refused, saying that Xu Yang had once said not to use chemical fertilizers, and that only organic fertilizers should be used. Then the boss tried to sell pesticides, which made things even worse. Lu Yunxi knew that this pesticide absolutely could not be brought to the Ming Dynasty. She refused on behalf of her ancestors. No need for pesticides, we have them at home. After leaving the seed shop, she asked, Grandma, if you don't use pesticides, what if the crops get infested with bugs? Lu Mingui, being an expert, explained, there are many ways. After harvesting the crops, the first thing to do is to plow the soil deeply. This will bring out all the insects underground. When the sun shines on them and the wind blows, they will die from the heat or the cold. Also, mugwort, when burned to ashes and sprinkled on the soil, can kill insects. Lime works just as well. Before long, he had suggested several methods. Lu Yunxi seemed to understand but not quite. They all sound like a lot of trouble, but they should be much healthier than pesticides. Grandma, where else would you like to go later? I have nothing to do, I can go with you. Lu Mingui shook her head. No need, you go ahead and do your work. Tomorrow is Laba Festival. I'm going to the market to buy some glutinous rice and red beans to cook some laba porridge. We need to plant the shepherd's purse first. Lu Yunxi didn't try to keep her. They could always meet, so there was no rush. However, I still offered a word of advice. Grandma, your health is important. Don't overwork yourself. If it's not feasible, hire someone to do the work. How can you do everything yourself? Lu Mingui agreed, but where to find people? Should she hire long-term laborers? She'd think about it another time. She went to the market via the same route she had come from. It's already afternoon at the farmer's market. Lu Mingui didn't waste any time. She first went to Liji Grain and Oil to buy red beans, mung beans, and white sugar. I went to a dried goods store to buy red dates, walnuts, and other items. I bought another piece of mutton to make porridge, which will be good for keeping warm and nourishing in winter. In the past, my family was poor, so there weren't many varieties of laba porridge. Now that we have some money, we can naturally make more. After returning to the Ming Dynasty, I first went to the shop in front to check. Everything was normal, so I went up the mountain. Lu Wenli and the others were still busy on the mountain. Lu Mingui found a piece of land and sowed shepherd's purse seeds, noodle greens, and wild celery. The rest are not yet in season, so planting them would be a waste. I didn't tell anyone else about planting wild vegetables. I just said that I had sown seeds on these plots of land and that they shouldn't trample on them. In the evening, Lu Mingui began to cook laba porridge. 2 pots. A pot of sweet porridge is being cooked, with red beans, mung beans, soybeans, chestnuts, and the like added. In the other pot, porridge was being cooked. At night, the fire in the stove was extinguished, and the food was cooked using only the residual heat until the next morning. Laba porridge is not only for family members to eat, but also for neighbors or relatives and friends. This is a custom, sharing porridge with neighbors, hoping for a bountiful year together. Early in the morning, the Song family's courtyard was already filled with fragrance. Everyone ladled out a large bowl of laba porridge, which was soft, sticky, and sweet, and slurped it down with gusto. After finishing the sweet one, I'll have a bowl of the savory one. Sweet ones are soft and chewy, while salty ones are savory and fragrant, each has its own unique flavor. After finishing the porridge, family members went out to deliver porridge to others. The Song family sent out laba porridge and soon received laba porridge in return from their neighbors. Wen Shu, the daughter of the scholar next door, also brought over a bowl of laba porridge. This bowl of laba porridge was so thin it could be used as a mirror. Wen Shu felt a little embarrassed and looked down at her patched shoes. She is only 12 years old and is the eldest daughter in her family. There is a younger brother and a younger sister behind him, both of whom are still young. Wen Shokai's wife was in poor health and rarely went out. She only took on sewing and mending jobs and worked in the backyard. Wen Shu was well-behaved and sensible, and very beautiful. Lu Mingui liked her very much and kept her behind to talk for a while. Wen Shu couldn't hide her worry. Under Lu Mingui's questioning, she finally said, "Auntie, my family's shop is going to have to close down. After the new year, the whole family will move to the countryside." Lu Mingui was very surprised. She could tell that the bookstore next door was not doing well, but she never expected that it had reached the point of having to close down. "Your mother is not in good health, but she can still do some sewing work here. Wouldn't you be even less able to make a living if you went to the countryside? What are your father's plans?" Wen Shu shook her head. "I don't know either." Lu Mingui thought for a moment, then took Wen Shu's hand and went to the shop next door. There wasn't a single customer in the bookstore. Only Wen Shokai sat in his chair, lost in thought, his eyes bloodshot. Upon seeing Lu Mingui, he gave a wry smile. "Sister-in-law Lu, I'm sorry to have made you laugh. This shop is a business passed down from my late father, and it's been around for over 20 years. After failing the imperial examinations several times, I lost my motivation and stopped taking them. I just hope to keep the shop running. It's a pity that things are getting worse day by day. Look at the paper and pens on this shelf. They're all cheap, low-quality goods. Rich people wouldn't want them, and poor people don't need them. They simply can't be sold. It is precisely these things that have caused me to incur a lot of debt. Now that the interest is compounding, I can no longer afford to pay it back. I have no choice but to sell off the family business and pawn all the writing implements. Once the money is repaid, the whole family will move to the countryside. There is still our ancestral home and 3 acres of meager land there, which will be a place to live." Lu Mingui felt heartbroken upon hearing this. He asked, "Sister Shu just told me everything. But if you go back to the countryside, won't you be even less able to make a living?" It wasn't that she looked down on Wen Shokai, but he was too thin to carry a load or a basket, and a gust of wind could blow him away. Let alone 3 acres, I can't even cultivate 3/10 of an acre. Chapter 280 Master. Lu Mingui's father was also a scholar who barely passed the county-level imperial examination. He failed the imperial examinations repeatedly and never took them again. He was depressed and unhappy all his life, and in the end, he couldn't even take care of his children. If it weren't for her eldest brother, she and her second brother would have starved to death long ago. For this reason, Lu Mingui looked down on the title of Shokai, a scholar who passed the county-level imperial examination. It's good to be literate, but what's the point of having a title if it means your family goes hungry? She was naturally dissatisfied with Wen Shokai at the moment, and if it weren't for her pity for Wen Shu, she wouldn't have bothered to make this trip. After thinking carefully, Wen Shokai replied, I can also copy books for others. I have beautiful handwriting, and I used to copy books for others." Lu Mingui sneered. "Copy books? When you go to the countryside, everyone will be farming. Who would need you to copy books? What kind of book are you copying?" She spoke with a rare sharpness, which made Wen Shokai blush. After a long pause, he lowered his head and sighed, "I really didn't think things through enough. I used to always think that maybe one day the shop's business would improve. Who knew things would get worse year after year, and we even ended up in debt. Sister-in-law Lu, what should I do? If we stay, the debt will only keep growing. If I go back to the countryside, although there will be a place to avoid the cold, I don't know how to farm. Will my whole family starve to death? He had no other choice but to voice his concerns. Lu Mingui thought for a moment and asked, "How much silver is your shop worth?" Wen Shoukai looked around with a sullen face. "This was bought by my father. It can't compare to yours. It's very old. There is no heated floor in the back room, and there are still a few places on the roof that need repair. A few days ago, a broker came to check it out and gave me an estimate, which was about 100 taels." Lu Mingui then asked, "How much debt do you owe? Can you fill this hole?" Scholar Wen replied, "I bought these writing brushes, ink, paper, and inkstones on credit for about 50 taels of silver. If I pawn them all, I can get 25 taels of silver back. In addition, I owe the clinic 30 taels for medicine, and I also borrowed 20 taels of tax money from someone before. Selling all our family property will not only pay off our debts, but we'll also have more than 20 taels of silver left over, enough to live in the countryside for a few years." Wen Shu listened silently from the side, but couldn't help but speak up at this moment. "Father, this is not how the money is calculated. The house in the countryside needs repairs. Last time we went back, we saw that half of the wall had collapsed. Mother will need to take medicine in the future, and this money won't last for more than a few years." Lu Mingui patted Wen Shu's head and said to her father, "Scholar, your daughter is more shrewd than you. If you ask me, even if you pawn your ancestral home and the things in your shop, you should still find a more secluded house in the county town. It's inconvenient to copy books when you go to the countryside." After struggling for a moment, Wen Shoukai said, "If I can't copy books, then I can become a teacher." "Yes, that's something I'm good at." Lu Mingui couldn't help but sneer. "You can't even be a teacher in the county, and you want to teach in the village. Teach ghosts." The bookstore fell silent immediately. These words were clearly unpleasant and struck a nerve with Scholar Wen. Fortunately, Wen Shoukai lived up to his name, being mild-mannered and not angry. He just sat there with his head down. Lu Mingui, however, stopped beating around the bush and asked, "If my family invited you to be a tutor, would you be willing?" Scholar Wen was taken aback. "To be a tutor in your home?" He hesitated. "Of course I'd like to, but you don't have any suitable students in your family. Who am I supposed to teach?" Lu Mingui frowned. "Why is no one here? My children are all illiterate, but I can teach them." Scholar Wen was taken aback again. "Your son is almost 16, isn't he? Your grandson is still an infant, who else is there?" Lu Mingui cursed inwardly, thinking to himself, "This Scholar Wen is really stupid. 16 years old means you can't go to school. Besides, I have a granddaughter. My granddaughter needs to be literate too. The girls from wealthy families are all literate. Although my family is just a small one, I don't want them all to be illiterate. Scholar, just tell me if you agree or not. If you agree, I will give you 30 taels of silver every year for your tuition, which will be enough for your whole family to live on. During festivals, there are also holiday gifts. In addition, we can pay off all the debts your family owes. As long as you use all your knowledge to teach my children properly. I don't care if they pass the imperial examinations. As long as they can read, study, and understand things, that's enough." Scholar Wen was still somewhat stunned. "A humble family. Our poor family's willing to spend 30 taels for tuition. This sister-in-law Lu is clearly kind-hearted, she's helping their family out." Unfortunately, he was too excited, and for a moment his lips trembled, and he couldn't speak. It was his daughter, Wen Shu, who made the decision for him. "Auntie, thank you very much. My dad is definitely capable of this job. He writes well and his handwriting is also excellent." As she spoke, she tugged at Wen Shoukai's sleeve. "Father, say something." She cried again, "Father, please agree to Aunt's request. If I become a teacher, I won't have to go back to the countryside. I don't want to go back to my hometown. My second aunt's family is very fierce. If my mother goes to the countryside, she will definitely be bullied by them. By then, my health will definitely be even worse." Actually, her mother wasn't seriously ill, she was just tired from worrying too much about the family. Mentioning his wife, Wen Shoukai's eyes gradually hardened, and he bowed deeply, saying, "In that case, thank you very much, sister-in-law Lu. I can teach all of these children. I'll teach them with all my might." He added, "However, I can't let you pay off my debts for nothing. Here's the deed to this house, you can do whatever you want with it. I'm not cut out for business, I should have settled down to be a teacher long ago." That's how it was settled. The children from both the Song and Lu families began studying with Scholar Wen in the backyard of the Wen family's residence. Besides Song Xiaodong and Man, the other children in the Lu family also learned to read. Lu Yongkong has 3 children, and Lu Yongyan has 2 children. In this way, there were 7 students who came to the Wen family's house on time every day, making it look like a school. Wen Shoukai naturally agreed to the idea of having a few more children. He received a tuition fee of 30 taels of silver per year, and he felt uneasy if he only taught 2 students. He felt more at ease when there were more students. Wen Shoukai didn't expect these students to learn very well, but he was wrong about them. These children are very serious. Man not only learns on her own, but also teaches her aunt and her mother at night. So during the day, the sound of reading aloud could be heard from the backyard of the Wen family, and at night the reading would continue at the Song family's house. When Wen Shoukai learned of this, he became even more devoted to teaching. The bookstore in front closed its doors completely, and the writing brushes, ink, paper, and inkstones inside were kept for the children's use and were not pawned or sold. The land deed for the Wen family mansion was also handed over to Lu Mingui. Chapter 281 Suzhou Style Tangyuan. Lu Mingui was initially unwilling to accept the offer, as she only wanted to find a tutor for her children and was not after his house. But the Wen family were not the kind of people who didn't know how to be grateful. Not only did they give her the land deed, they also wrote an IOU for Lu Mingui, stating that they owed her a full 100 taels of silver. She was also given the right to use the shop in front. Lu Mingui was considering using the shop for another business, but hadn't decided on a plan yet. I'm thinking about opening a restaurant again, but most people have gone home for the Lunar New Year, so I'll wait until after the holiday to think about it. Even if you're opening a restaurant, you need to do thorough research first. It's all real money involved, and it would be painful to lose money. She told her family, and they all advised her not to rush and to talk about it after the new year. Lu Mingui kept this matter in mind. With the year-end approaching, the cosmetics shop's business is booming, especially the gift-boxed skincare products, which have been in short supply several times. Fortunately, Lu Mingui was backed by the wealthy and powerful Lu Yunxi, and also by modern technology. As long as there are raw materials, the machines can quickly produce hundreds or thousands of bottles once they start running. The 20th day of the 12th lunar month. On this day, Ronghua Pavilion also closed early to prepare for the new year, and specially pasted a red paper on the door, closed at the end of the year, will reopen on the auspicious day of the 10th day of the first lunar month. From opening to closing, it was actually less than a month, but everyone breathed a sigh of relief when they heard that the business was going to close. The shop was bustling with activity, making even first-time business owners feel a bit tired. However, for a first-time business venture, achieving this level of success is already quite impressive. Lu Mingui was naturally generous with her praise, giving each of the people who helped in the shop a red envelope containing 10 taels of silver, and giving Huang Pozi even more. Everyone was happy to receive the silver. Zhao Xinghua was no longer afraid of Lu Mingui and showered her with praise, making her sound like the best person in the world. She had already figured it out. Following her aunt meant she would have meat to eat and money to earn. What else did it have to do with her? Lu Mingui said, Yongkong's wife, why do I feel like you're becoming more and more glib-tongued than before? The whole family laughed. Zhao Xinghua said smugly, Auntie, you can't do business without a sweet tongue. You have to make them happy first before they'll be willing to buy. Meng He added, what my sister-in-law said isn't entirely true, the things in our shop are still the best. That's why we have so many repeat customers. We've benefited from working at the store too. Look, my hands have changed, they're much whiter now. Now that I don't have to work in the fields or be exposed to the wind and sun, and I often have to let customers try out products. My hands inevitably get some on them. Over time, my skin has improved a lot. Looking over, Lu Mingui noticed that Meng He, Xinghua, and her daughter Xiaochu all looked noticeably fairer and more delicate. That's great. You guys are all the store's star attraction, the pillars of the business. Go home and have a good new year this time. I'll be back to work on the 10th day of the lunar month. It's already the 23rd day of the 12th lunar month, which is the Little New Year, and on this day we worship the kitchen god. It involves placing maltos and other treats on the stove to encourage the kitchen god to speak well of the family. According to family tradition, we also make dumplings to eat on this day. So the whole family spent half a day making a lot of dumplings. But old lady Huang said that the Little New Year is on the 24th of the 12th lunar month, which is a difference between the north and the south. So the offerings for the kitchen god were left there. According to Granny Huang, on the 24th, it is the Little New Year, and we should make glutinous rice balls. In Suzhou, glutinous rice balls are called tuanzi, and they are round and plump, even bigger than eggs. It can be filled with both sweet and meat fillings. The outer skin is made of pure glutinous rice flour, which is soft yet slightly chewy, making it both soft and chewy. The filling is packed full, like a meatball. When you take the first bite, the juice flows out because of the aspic inside. The meat filling is savory and the pieces are large, so it takes several bites to finish them. In addition, I would take a bowl with only a little salt, a few drops of soy sauce, a few chopped green onions, and a small spoonful of lard. Then I would pour in the water used to cook the glutinous rice balls and mix it to make a soup. Grandma Huang ate it with gusto. It's really good. It tastes just like this. He added, when I was young, I could eat 6 in one go, but now I can only eat 2. In a few years, I won't dare to eat any of them. Man was very curious. Grandma Huang, why don't you dare to eat it? Old Mrs. Huang laughed and said, in 2 years, you won't have any teeth left. Every year, several old women or men choke to death on dumplings. How can you dare to eat them? Then she spat and said, it's all just old woman talking nonsense. The kitchen god is watching from heaven. Then she instructed Man, eat in small bites, and be careful not to choke. The others weren't interested in the savory glutinous rice balls, feeling something was off about them, they preferred the sweet ones. Lu Mingui, on the other hand, ate both sweet and salty food. Having experienced hunger, she wanted to try anything delicious. It's more fun to try things you've never eaten before. The family was eating when Zhang Yuanzhou arrived, bringing a bowl of satin, fine tea, and some pastries. Lu Mingui's lips twitched as she watched. The Laba festival had just passed, and now the Lunar New Year was here again. They were running around too frequently. Every time he brings large and small bags, how much money does he have to spend to keep up with all this? However, they quickly ushered the person inside, saying, come in quickly, it's cold outside. Xiao Chu, take these things down. Song Xiaoqiu lowered her head and stepped forward to take the things. Zhang Yuanzhou hurriedly asked, the satin is heavy, can you carry it? He then said to Lu Mingui, Auntie, I'll put it where you want it. Upon hearing this, Song Xiaoqiu looked up and glared at him. She wasn't weak and helpless, so why couldn't she take it? They insisted on having him show off his treasures here. Despite being glared at, Zhang Yuanzhou was in a good mood and grinned. Showing his big teeth, Lu Mingui watched from the side, unable to bear it any longer, and let them be. Then he told his son to serve the guests. Xiaodong, bring your brother Zhang a bowl of glutinous rice balls. Song Xiaodong asked happily, Brother Zhang, do you prefer salty or sweet? Zhang Yuanzhou wasn't picky, I want to eat them all. So Song Xiaodong simply brought him 2 bowls, one round and sweet, and the other pointed and salty. He was probably hungry, because he picked up the bowl and started eating, one bite at a time, very quickly. Remembering what Granny Huang had said earlier, Song Xiaoqiu quickly made him a bowl of soy sauce soup. Eat slowly, don't choke. The others were all secretly laughing, but Zhang Yuanzhou was overjoyed. It was Xiao Chu who cared about him. He picked up the bowl to drink, but luckily Song Xiaoqiu reacted quickly and stopped the bowl, saying, it's hot. Why are you so reckless? Zhang Yuanzhou simply smiled and said, I understand. He was in a great mood. Xiao Chu was already so good to him even before they were married. It would be even better after they got married. If I had known, I would have set the wedding date for February. We have to wait until May, that's too slow. While eating glutinous rice balls, he was thinking about things. In a short while, he had already thought of names for his future children, and then he chuckled to himself. The laughter left everyone bewildered. Song Xiaoqiu, however, blushed, as if she had thought of something. Lu Mingui didn't notice these things. She glanced at the pile of festival gifts and thought that she should also send a gift to the county magistrate's wife. Chapter 282 Chicken Cake. The next day, she took a set of skincare products, a set of writing brush, ink, paper and inkstone, and 2 kinds of snacks to the county government office. Naturally, Lu Mingui didn't go as the mother-in-law. She treated herself as an ordinary merchant, so she naturally kept a low profile. Madame Zhang was very pleased with her tact and invited her in immediately. I used those skincare products last time and they worked really well, but I haven't finished them yet. You've sent it again, you're too kind. He added, Zhou Ji and Xiao Chu are engaged, so we're now in-laws. We can visit each other often, but please don't bring any gifts. That's what they say, but how could Lu Mingui really come empty-handed? She smiled and said, Madam, you don't know, but there's a new product in this batch called a face mask. It's made of silk and contains essence. Applying it to your face for 15 minutes is enough, it's very comfortable. In later generations, face masks were mostly packaged in plastic. Lu Mingui came up with a solution, to use porcelain bottles, with 3 masks in each bottle, to be used within 7 days. She tried one box. It's winter now, and it feels icy cold when you first put it on your face, but you get used to it after a while. It would be much more comfortable in the summer. Moreover, the Guanlin residence has air conditioning, which makes people very dry. Using a face mask at this time doesn't feel cold at all, and it keeps your face moisturized. The effect is similar in a room with a heated floor kong, a traditional heated platform bed. As expected, Madame Zhang was very interested. That's not bad. Every winter, my face gets very dry. Let's give it a try. Seeing that she was happy, Lu Mingui quickly smiled and agreed. Just then, Magistrate Yang's youngest son walked in. He was only 6 years old and had just finished school. As soon as he entered, he complained that he was hungry. Madame Zhang advised, we'll be eating soon, so just bear with the hunger. The child refused and started whining and making a fuss. Lu Mingui thought of the snacks she brought today, one of which was the old-fashioned sponge cake she bought on the pedestrian street last time. She placed it on a piece of oiled paper in the food box, treating it as a snack, and brought it over. So she quickly said, Young master, if you don't mind, I brought some snacks today, which are perfect for children. It's soft and easy for children to digest, so it won't affect their appetite and can fill their stomachs a little. Upon hearing this, Madame Zhang smiled and said, then I won't stand on ceremony. He then ordered someone to open the box of pastries, which contained 8 small cakes. As soon as the box was opened, a sweet aroma wafted out. The aroma was so enticing that everyone present couldn't help but sniff it. It smelled so good, it looked delicious. Lu Mingui chuckled inwardly, isn't it incredibly fragrant? She was drawn to the pedestrian street by the fragrance. Young Master Zhang took the small cake, his eyes lit up, and he couldn't wait to take a bite of half of it. How is it? Is it delicious? When his mother asked him a question, his mouth was full of small cakes, and he couldn't say anything, only nodding. Madame Zhang was surprised. Her son's gluttony was truly unseemly. What delicious food haven't you eaten? Why are you eating like this? Lu Mingui smiled and said at the right moment, Young master, you really enjoy your food. My kids have a big appetite, they all fight over the food. These pastries taste so good, madam, would you like to try some? Madame Zhang was also curious, and upon hearing this, she nodded, then I'll try a piece too. She was refined and reserved, and instead of washing her hands, she simply wrapped them in a clean handkerchief, broke off a small piece, and put it in her mouth. One bite revealed its soft and moist texture, with just the right amount of sweetness, it was truly delicious. It's also sprinkled with almond slices, which adds to the nutty aroma. She complimented him, then, no longer holding back, ate the rest of the small cake. Young Master Zhang had already eaten 3 of them, and in the blink of an eye, only 3 of the 8 small cakes remained. Madame Zhang dissuaded her, saying, you can't eat any more, or you won't be able to eat anything later. Young Master Zhang refused. How could he not eat such soft and fluffy snacks? Mom, I want one more. Just as the standoff was reaching its conclusion, Magistrate Zhang walked in, his face stern. What nonsense are you spouting? How can a man indulge in the desires of food? Young Master Zhang was clearly afraid of his father. He secretly pouted after being spoken to, not daring to reply. Let me try it and see what it's like. Is it really that delicious? As he spoke, he reached out and picked up a small cake, his eyes immediately lighting up as he picked up a second one. Madame Zhang noticed his liking for it and asked Lu Mingui, Mother-in-law, what is this pastry called? It looks ordinary, but it tastes delicious. It smells a bit like shortbread, but it's even softer than steamed rice cake. Lu Mingui had already prepared his explanation, otherwise, he wouldn't have dared to deliver the sponge cake to the county magistrate's family. She said, this is called a sponge cake. The ingredients are simple: eggs, flour, oil, and sugar. It's just a bit troublesome to do. She bought a sponge cake on the pedestrian street last time and took it home for her family to eat. Xiao Chu tasted it and wanted to learn how to make it. Lu Mingui went to look outside the cake shop, but the inside was completely blocked off, and she couldn't see anything. She then asked Lu Yunxi and learned that she could. search for it on her phone and even learn by watching videos. Upon checking, I discovered that I had several of the ingredients at home. The difficulty lay in whipping the eggs. You need to put the eggs and sugar together and stir until the egg mixture is thick. The person in the video used a small machine, I think it's called an egg beater. Without an egg beater, you can only rely on your hands to quickly stir with chopsticks. She and Xiaoqiu had tried it. This step was the hardest. If they succeeded, then they were almost done. Next, mix in the flour, add oil, and finally bake. She didn't have any molds at home, but there was an oven in the room at Guanlin residence, and she tried it once, which was barely successful. Later, I brought the mold back and tried it out on my home stove. The heat was hard to control, so it was edible but not suitable for mass production. Moreover, she calculated that making it herself would cost more money than buying it from outside, so it was better to just buy it directly. Right now, she told Madame Zhang everything she had done. If Madame Zhang wants to try it herself, then let her do so. Madame Zhang was indeed very interested, and simply asked her maid to bring paper and write it down, remembering clearly how much flour to use and how many eggs to use. I'll give it a try later. If I can make it, I'll send it to you to try. Lu Mingui readily agreed, and then Zhang Xiaogongzi suddenly burst into tears. Daddy's bad, Daddy's bad. The two then realized that Magistrate Zhang had silently eaten the rest of the chicken cake. Chapter 283 Going to the Market. Young Master Zhang stared longingly until his father swallowed the last piece of chicken cake, at which point he burst into tears. Madame Zhang couldn't help but glare at him fiercely, but considering Lu Mingui's presence, she didn't say anything more. Are you such a grown-up, fighting with a child for food? Is this even reasonable? Seeing that the atmosphere was not right and guessing that Madame Zhang was about to tame her husband, Lu Mingui hurriedly took her leave. After she left, Madame Yang's voice turned cold. What kind of father are you? You want to take what you are eating too? Magistrate Zhang forced a smile and said, I think it's all because the Lu family made this sponge cake too small. They ate one after another, and somehow they just slipped into my stomach. How dare you drag others into this? Madame Zhang frowned in displeasure. What's wrong with us today? The old folks are craving it, and so are the kids. Magistrate Zhang was quite embarrassed, and he rambled on, perhaps you don't like it. Madame Zhang hesitated for a moment. It's delicious, but what do you mean by, but? Magistrate Zhang stroked his beard. I told you last time that the Song family's food is especially delicious. Registrar Zhou still remembers it to this day. I say, why don't we just let the Lu family open a shop? A restaurant, a eatery, anything will do, so that if I crave something in the future, I'll have somewhere to satisfy my craving. Why don't you talk to her about opening a restaurant? Madame Zhang hesitated. Her family has never run a restaurant, so they might not even have this idea. How can I bring it up? Forcing a cow to drink water when it doesn't want to. Magistrate Zhang replied, how do you know she doesn't want to, since you haven't asked her? Wait until after the new year and then ask her. If the money is not enough, I am willing to contribute some, or help her find a suitable shop. The more they talked, the more serious they became, genuinely hoping that the Song family could open a food stall. Madame Zhang could only nod. You're so greedy. Fine, I'll ask you when the new year starts. Lu Mingui was busy. After the little new year, it's time to sweep away the dust. The house and its surroundings need to be thoroughly cleaned, including wiping windows, pasting paper on windows, sweeping the roof beams, removing cobwebs, and sweeping away the bad luck of the past year so that the new year can be celebrated cleanly. Granny Huang then led her family in paper cutting, making window decorations and the character, fortune. She's very skillful, the cutouts are extremely beautiful. Pasting them up at home instantly fills the house with the festive spirit of the new year. Then the topic of asking someone to write spring festival couplets came up again. Lu Mingui then remembered that Sister Yang had given her quite a few spring festival couplets before, which were given away by the grain and oil store back then. So they found all the usable spring festival couplets. Originally, they thought of selling them for money, but now they don't sell them. They give them away as gifts, one to one neighbor and one to another. Soon, quite a few were given away. Although spring festival couplets are not very valuable, they are a must-have for every household, so people who receive them are always happy. Even scholar when praised, it's well written. The characters are so elegant and graceful, it looks like they were printed on. Lu Mingui could only say, this was brought from my hometown, and it's been a long time. She also picked out 2 couplets to put up at home, and then started preparing for the new year. I also went to a large market. The market was located at the foot of Yinshan Mountain, attracting many people from the surrounding villages. Lu Mingui held Man's hand, with Song Xiaoqiu following behind. It was the first time any of them had ever been to a market, and they were all curious, looking around and wandering around the market endlessly. The market was filled with the atmosphere of the upcoming Chinese New Year. There were spring festival couplets and the character, Fu, fortune blessing, written on them, as well as pine and cypress branches used for ancestral worship and carved red lacquered boxes for giving as gifts. There are plenty of things to make, such as roasted melon seeds, steamed rice cakes, fried radish cakes, and spring roll wrappers. The shouts of knife sharpeners could still be heard, sharpening scissors, sharpening kitchen knives. The sound traveled very far. Lu Mingui bought Man piping hot radish cakes, and the 3 of them went to drink salty soy milk. The salty soy milk contained soy sauce, dried shrimp, pickled vegetables, and a fried dough stick soaked in it. It was so hot that no one dared to drink it in big gulps. He could only blow on it while drinking, and after finishing the bowl, he felt warm all over. Further on, she saw someone selling New Year pictures, so Song Xiaoqiu picked out a pair of door gods, Qin Shubao, and Yu Qigong. Seeing the chubby baby holding the big carp, I liked it and bought another one to hang at home. Lu Mingui, however, set her sights on selling mountain products and wild vegetables. They were all farmers from nearby villages, some brought them by rowing their own small boats, while others carried them on shoulder poles. Everyone wants to exchange their money for a prosperous new year. These are really good things. It wasn't for their own consumption, but to be sold for money, Xu Yang certainly wouldn't have too much. She spotted a simple, honest-looking man huddled in a corner with a large basket of winter bamboo shoots in front of him. I reached out and rummaged through the bamboo basket of winter bamboo shoots. They were still covered in yellow mud and looked very fresh and tender. Then I looked at the chicken and duck eggs. I picked one up and shook it. There was no obvious rattling sound. I smelled it and there was no strange smell, which meant that they were still relatively fresh. The man quickly greeted her, "Auntie, would you like some winter bamboo shoots? They were all dug up from our own bamboo grove, 10 coins a pound. Chicken eggs are 3 coins, duck eggs are only 2 coins. Lu Mingui saw that the items looked good and the prices were reasonable, so she nodded and said, "Let's weigh them together." The stall owner was taken aback at first. Buying so much, he was overjoyed and said, okay, I'll weigh it for you right away." In the end, there were a total of 22 caddies of winter bamboo shoots, 30 eggs, and 27 duck eggs. That means I've taken care of everything on the carrying pole. Lu Mingui counted out the copper coins and gave them to him. Looking at the items, she was a little worried, so she simply said, "I've bought everything. If it's convenient for you, please deliver it to me." The man nodded quickly. "Of course, just tell me where to send it." Lu Mingui said, "It's not far, just on Yinshan Street. I'll buy a few more things and then we'll go back together." "Please wait a moment." The man nodded in agreement. If they sold them little by little, it might take until late afternoon to sell them all. It was worth it to deliver them now. People had already gathered around Lu Mingui because they saw how straightforward she was and how much she bought. The man said, "Sister-in-law, look at the big bluefish my family caught this morning. It's only 30 coins a pound. The new year is coming soon, so may we have abundance every year." The man said, "Auntie, look at my family's winter mushrooms, 15 coins a tail, and also walnuts and toria nuts." Someone else said, "Want some water chestnuts and arrowhead? 4 coins a pound." Lu Mingui bought a lot more. Tender tofu, bluefish, dried goods, salted chicken and cured duck. She bought some of everything she saw that looked good. The man offered, "Auntie, put them all on my carrying pole, and I'll take them back to you." Lu Mingui was a little embarrassed. There were quite a lot of things, which bent the man's carrying pole. The group walked back, talking as they went. Only then did I realize that the man's family had quite a few winter bamboo shoots, as well as some other mountain products. We eat winter bamboo shoots now, and spring bamboo shoots will come after the new year. My family has a big bamboo forest. I also do bamboo weaving in my spare time, making bamboo baskets, winnowing baskets, and bamboo chairs. Lu Mingui said, "While there are still winter bamboo shoots, please send me some more tomorrow. I'll take as many as I have at home." The man was overjoyed. Winter bamboo shoots were not cheap. It took 10 caddies of winter bamboo shoots to yield 4 caddies of meat. Most people would only take 2 bamboo shoots home to make a stew with pickled bamboo shoots and pork. It was rare to sell more than 20 caddies like today. And this lady will buy more in the future, it's really a good deal. He quickly agreed, okay, ma'am, I'll bring it over tomorrow. Lu Mingui added, I don't care about anything else, but I want chicken eggs and duck eggs. Even wild vegetables, shepherd's purse, and wild celery can be sent over. Chapter 284 Harvesting Winter Bamboo Shoots. The man was overjoyed. These winter bamboo shoots aren't cheap. It takes 10 pounds of winter bamboo shoots to yield 4 pounds of meat. Most people would just buy 2 to make a simple braised pork and bamboo shoot soup. It's quite rare to see more than 20 pounds sold at once like today. And this lady will buy more in the future, it's really a good deal. He quickly agreed. Okay, ma'am, I'll bring it to you tomorrow. After thinking for a moment, Lu Mingui said, apart from winter bamboo shoots, I don't care about anything else, but I want chicken eggs and duck eggs. If you have any wild vegetables, such as shepherd's purse, wild celery, or any kind of wild vegetables, you can send them over. We need the practical information too. Also, if anyone in your village wants to sell something, they can bring it over, and we'll give it to them at the market price. The man silently wrote it down and nodded repeatedly. Okay, auntie, we don't have much else in the village, but we have plenty of wild vegetables and winter bamboo shoots. By the way, my surname is Li, and I live in Lija village. You can just call me Li Niu. Many families in our village raise chickens and ducks. And then there are winter bamboo shoots, which every household has. He tentatively asked, do you want a lot? Are you really going to ask other families to send some over too? Li Niu was afraid that he had dug up too much, and that the old lady would change her mind and refuse to take it after he delivered it to her. Lu Mingui smiled and said, sure, my family needs a lot, any more is fine. Just bring them to me after you receive them. If they are all as fresh and tender as today's winter bamboo shoots, I'll still charge you 10 coins per pound. Li Niu finally believed it, and his face turned red with excitement. Really, ma'am, are you telling the truth? Lu Mingui nodded, pointed to the shop not far away, and said, we're almost there. My home is right here. Would I lie to you? Just send it over, and I won't owe you any money. I'll settle the account on the spot. Li Niu readily agreed, eager to rush back to the village and spread the word. This year, the winter bamboo shoots have finally found a way to survive, which is great news. After all, winter bamboo shoots are the most valuable. Once they grow into bamboo shoots, they'll be much cheaper. Once it grows into bamboo, it can only be used for weaving baskets. There's still time. If the villagers start digging today and bring the money over before the new year, everyone can have a good new year. After delivering the goods to the Song family, he thanked them profusely before leaving with his empty load. They ran very fast on their 2 legs, they were in a hurry to get back to the village. The Song family had a lot of New Year's goods displayed in their home. The salted pork and cured chicken are saved to be cooked during the Lunar New Year, while the large bluefish are kept in a water tank first. Lu Mingui put the winter bamboo shoots, duck eggs, and other items that she wanted to give to Shu Yong into the White House first. It seems to taste even better after sitting for a while. Looking at the whole basket of winter bamboo shoots, she felt happy. I was originally planning to go to the countryside to collect wild vegetables after spring, but I didn't expect to find someone selling winter bamboo shoots now, and there will be more in the future. This adds another way to collect wild vegetables. At least for now, we don't have to worry about finding wild vegetables. On the 28th day of the 12th lunar month, Li Niu drove his oxcart to knock on the door. He indeed came again with another cartload of winter bamboo shoots, duck eggs, chicken eggs, and wild vegetables from the water, such as water chestnuts. Lu Mingui was pleasantly surprised. So many. There was much more than I expected. The whole oxcart was packed full, all in bamboo baskets, and very neatly arranged. Li Niu said, it's not just our family, but also the villagers. I will accept the money from them at the price you gave me, and then bring the money back to them when I get back. He then called to his wife, who was also traveling with him, this is the kind old lady I told you about. His wife, a pretty girl named Shui Lian, greeted him, hello, auntie. He was holding 2 carp strung together with straw, they were still alive. Auntie, the carp is for your family to eat. It was just caught this morning. It's still alive. Lu Mingui smiled and accepted it, then took 2 red velvet flowers from the shop and gave them to her to wear. A young wife should be pretty, very beautiful. Shui Lian had heard of Ronghua Pavilion and knew the price of velvet flowers, which cost more than 10 coins per flower. These 2 flowers cost 30 coins. She refused to accept it. Auntie, we are already extremely grateful for your winter bamboo shoots, how can we possibly accept anything from you? Lu Mingui laughed and said, it's not worth much money, but it's festive to wear it during the new year. Besides, it's already a lot of trouble for you to come all this way to deliver the vegetables. Shui Lian shyly accepted it. Li Niu looked at his wife and grinned foolishly. The young couple helped weigh the eggs, and the winter bamboo shoots alone weighed over 200 jin, 100 kilogram. They also counted the chicken and duck eggs. Although the baskets were lined with straw, a few still broke open. Shui Lian specially picked them out. Auntie, these are free, you can have them. Lu Mingui stopped her. It's okay, we'll still charge you. We'll cook it later. The other wild vegetables were all purchased at 3 coins per pound. All in all, it cost a little over 3 taels of silver. The young couple happily went home with the money in their pockets. Lu Mingui then sent the winter bamboo shoots to Shuyang in batches. Shuyang accepted it and said, we've been serving a lot of winter bamboo shoots lately. Braised pork with winter bamboo shoots, stir-fried seafood with winter bamboo shoots, vegetarian dishes from Guangdong, and braised pork with bamboo shoots from Shanghai are all very popular. Many customers ask us why our winter bamboo shoots taste so good, just like they were freshly dug out of the ground. How can I tell you? This is a secret recipe. As he spoke, he winked and smiled, his small eyes narrowing into slits. Lu Mingui also laughed. If we don't tell them, they won't learn it anyway. Shuyang took out his phone again. Auntie, the dividends for this quarter have been released. I'll transfer them to you now. I won't withdraw cash anymore, it's too much trouble. Before Lu Mingui could react, her phone rang. She hurriedly took out her phone and saw a message showing that 150,000 yuan had been deposited into her account. So much. Last year, I received 100,000 yuan in 5 months, and now, after only 3 months, I've received another 150,000 yuan. There are so many, it's making me feel uneasy. She only brought some wild vegetables. Shuyang noticed her unease and quickly said with a grin, Auntie, I told you long ago, this farm is definitely going to make money. And they made a fortune. This is nothing, things will only get better from here on out. Please accept this money without worry. It's all rightfully yours. Chapter 285 Buying Wine. Lu Mingui was apprehensive, yet also somewhat happy, making money naturally brings joy. Moreover, money can generate more money, and life gets better day by day. For example, she would give wild vegetables to Shuyang, and Shuyang would give her money. She would then use the money to buy skincare products, which she would then sell in Ronghua Pavilion. With the money she earned, she could then use it to buy more wild vegetables. She thought of Li Niu and Shui Lian's happy faces, at least that money would make life a little better for the villagers of Li family village. During the Lunar New Year, if you have money, you can buy a few feet of cloth to make clothes for your children, or buy a piece of meat to make dumplings for the new year. Everyone was happy. Thinking about it, she felt happy too. After leaving the farm, instead of rushing back, we went to the market first. With the year-end approaching, buy more meat to take home. Whether you braise it or mince it, it will be very useful. She was a regular customer of Chen Shin's shop. As soon as Chen Shin saw her, he smiled and said, Auntie, here to buy meat. The usual. As he spoke, he picked up a piece of meat that was 7 parts fat and 3 parts lean. Lu Mingui hurriedly said, Today I'm buying pork belly, it has to be a good mix of fat and lean meat, not too fatty. She was taken aback when she said those words. Originally, people wanted pork that was as fatty as possible, but now things have changed, they don't want pork that is so fatty anymore. Chen Shin quickly replaced the piece with another one, adding, Yes, too much fat isn't good either. Eating too much can easily lead to high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and high blood sugar. Let me pick out a top-quality piece of pork belly for you. How about this one? A perfect balance of lean and fatty meat, 7 stories in total, a genuine top-quality 7-story building. Lu Mingui took a look and saw that it really had 7 layers, and the meat was naturally reddish in color, indicating that it was a fresh and good piece of pork. Okay, I'll take this piece. Also, get a pork hock so we can stew it into a big braised pork knuckle when we get back. After buying the meat, I went next door and bought some mutton. I also bought some vegetables and fruits. It's Chinese New Year, so we should eat and drink well. After leaving the fruit shop, We hadn't walked far when we smelled a strong aroma of wine. Lu Mingui stopped and looked around, and saw that a new shop had opened. I didn't expect a new tavern to open in the market, I'd never seen one like it before. Looking over out of curiosity, I saw that the room had a rather antique feel, with many wine jars displayed, each with a wine character pasted on it in red paper. They come in all shapes and sizes, somewhat resembling the taverns of the Ming Dynasty. She thought that the new year was approaching and she would have to entertain relatives and friends, so she decided to buy some wine to take home. Lu Mingui walked a few steps to the entrance of the tavern and saw that there were still red paper signs with the words, "Grand Opening Special Offer," pasted on the door. There was also a waiter standing at the door, holding a wine pot in one hand, with a big smile on his face, moving around. She went up to him and asked, "Young man, how much are the drinks in the shop?" The man, however, continued to twist his body without uttering a word. Lu Mingui looked closely and realized that it was a mannequin. She didn't know how it was made, but it could move, twist its body, and even nod. Upon closer inspection, it was a bit frightening. The face was very pale, the cheekbones were red, and the eyes were huge. She couldn't help but complain, "Who came up with this? Putting a mannequin here, people can be so scary." Just as I was about to walk around it, I heard someone chuckle next to me and say, "This is the 10th person to be scared today." Lu Mingui turned her head and looked over, feeling that the person looked somewhat familiar, but for a moment she couldn't remember where she had seen him before. When Lu Mingui looked over, the man continued to smile, saying, "Auntie, quite a few people were frightened today, but you're the first one to speak to him." "Ha ha ha, this is hilarious. Talking to a mannequin. Ha 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 tilde tilde." They just kept laughing. Even with her good temper, Lu Mingui was still unhappy to be laughed at like that. "I'm so old, and I'm being mocked by a young kid?" she asked with a stern face. "Could it be that you placed this dummy here?" When she asked him with a cold expression, the man immediately stopped smiling and hurriedly shook his head. "No, I'm not the shop owner. I sell pearls, clams, and other freshwater seafood over there." Lu Mingui immediately remembered who this person was. She even bought river clams from this shop. The pearl powder was used last time to make makeup powder for Granny Huang. Grandma Huang said the pearl powder was pretty good, it was ground very finely and was easy to use. They also said they would buy more if it could be delivered. She kept saying she wanted to buy some more, so how did she end up running into this shopkeeper? She asked, "Why aren't you tending your own shop? Are you just bored and watching people make a fool of themselves?" The man couldn't laugh this time. He sighed and said, "I'm just bored because there's no business in the shop, so I came out for a stroll." "Once you start watching, you can't stop, ha ha ha." Lu Mingui's heart skipped a beat. Ignoring his mockery, she asked, "Aren't the pearls doing well? Why isn't there any business?" At this moment, although the man did not recognize her, he guessed that this aunt had bought pearls from his family. He immediately began to complain. Now everyone watches live streams online and buys from them, so who would still come to buy in person? "Well, there's no business right now, nobody's opening river clams. Fortunately, the fish can still be sold, and my wife is in the shop." Lu Mingui said, "Then why don't you go and get that wave thing too, then you'll sell it." "Auntie, that's called live streaming. But I don't know how to do live streaming," he said. "Others have teams and are very eloquent. Besides, I'm introverted and embarrassed to do live streams. And then there's the packing and shipping, it's such a hassle." The man shook his head frantically as he spoke, basically implying that he wasn't good enough. Lu Mingui thought to herself, wasn't he very eloquent when he was mocking people just now? Why is he being so humble now? What's with the talk of introversion? I really didn't see that coming. After venting his grievances, the man shook his head and left. "I won't keep you from buying wine any longer, I'll be going now. If you like pearls, I also have a lot of freshwater clams in my shop. Come and take a look when you have time." Lu Mingui nodded without saying anything more and walked into the shop. The aroma of wine wafted through the air, almost overwhelming one's senses. As soon as the customer entered, the shop owner hurriedly greeted him, "Buying wine? Is it for your father at home? Today is the last day of our grand opening promotion. Buy 10 jin of jarred wine and get a free 500 milliliters bottle of rice wine." Lu Mingui naturally wouldn't mention that her old man had been dead for 800 years, she simply asked, "How much is this jar of wine?" The shop owner explained, "The 42-degree one costs 78 yuan, and a jar contains 10 jin 5 kilogram. 88 yuan for 52-degree liquor, 10 jin. Do, Lu Mingui murmured. What is, do, or is it, do, belly? The boss assumed she was a non-drinker and therefore didn't know anything about alcohol content. It's just a matter of stronger or milder, how can you not even understand that? Do you usually not drink alcohol? If you can drink it, I'll pour you a little to try, and then you'll know. Lu Mingui said, I can drink a little too, so let me try some. Without hesitation, the shop owner took a small disposable plastic cup, poured 2 different kinds of wine into it, and handed it to her. Chapter 286 Fried Meatballs. Lu Mingui took the wine, the 2 small cups together contained no more than a sip. She cautiously took a sip of the 42-proof liquor, and as soon as it went down her throat, she felt the coolness instantly turn into a burning sensation. The sensation made her smack her lips in disbelief. 42 degrees. It's almost as good as strong liquor, amazing. I went to try the 52-proof glass, and as soon as I brought it close to my nose, I found that the aroma was even stronger, and I could tell it was a strong liquor. She downed it in one gulp. I felt as if my mouth was being cut by a knife, and as it went down into my stomach, it felt like a fire was burning. Tisk, this wine is potent. It hits right at the top of your head. Seeing this, the shop owner immediately smiled. Right. My wine may be cheap, but it's not bad. Lots of seasoned drinkers come to buy it, just for the hot and spicy flavor. And those who work on construction sites, doing all kinds of physical labor, after a long day, a couple of ounces of liquor after get off work is just right, a little tipsy, and it really helps them relax. Lu Mingui originally only wanted to buy a jar to drink during the new year, but after hearing what the shopkeeper said, she had a different idea. If it's so effective at relieving fatigue, wouldn't it be good to buy it and resell it? My home wasn't far from the dock, where there were plenty of people who did manual labor, porters, boatmen, and porters. They were all people who did hard labor. If we buy liquor, it will definitely sell better than strong liquor. She remembered buying wine in town. The cheapest wine cost 50 coins a jar, while the better ones cost 80 coins. Judging from the size of the jars, this place should be not much different from that of the Ming Dynasty. If you buy a jar for 88 yuan and then sell it for 80 or 100 coins, you can still make a profit. When the time comes, opening a tavern will only require preparing some simple food, and there won't be a shortage of manpower at home, making the business a success. Do it as soon as you think of it. Lu Mingui asked, Boss, if I buy a few more jars of wine, can you give me a discount? The shop owner didn't take it seriously, remaining seated calmly. Buy more. How much can you buy? This wine is good, but don't overindulge. He offered this advice mainly because the man didn't seem wealthy, he was dressed quite simply. She was just an ordinary middle-aged woman on the street. They say they'll buy more, but when the time comes, they'll only buy 1 or 2 jars at most. He might even have to give away a bunch of things. Sigh, doing business is tough these days. Lu Mingui could easily see that the other party didn't believe her at all. She didn't mind, and just smiled and said, It's not that I'm a heavy drinker, but your wine tastes good and the price is reasonable. I also want to open a liquor store like yours. But in our village, we don't want expensive liquor or any other random liquor. We only want this kind of strong liquor with an alcohol content of 52 degrees. Could you give me a discount? The shop owner then looked up at her carefully and asked seriously, Do you really want to open a shop? Lu Mingui nodded. Is that even a lie? I'm not the kind of person who would joke around with people for no reason. Instead of wasting time on this, you'd be better off going home and playing with your granddaughter. Once the boss was sure she was telling the truth, he quickly got up, rushed over, and rubbed his hands together, saying, That's great. How many do you want? If you need a lot, I'll have someone send it over. Actually, I'm a direct distributor for this winery. You have to meet a certain quota every month, or you'll be fined. Sister, I would be extremely grateful if you could help me with distribution. Lu Mingui chuckled inwardly. She changed her mind pretty quickly, already calling me elder sister. She said directly, I really want to open a shop, so I need to ask about the prices first. If it's suitable, I'll buy it. If it's not, I'll think about it later. It won't waste any time. Just be straightforward and tell me the price. The shopkeeper hurriedly pointed to the jar of wine that cost 88 yuan and said, The cost price of wine like this, including the jar, is 55 yuan. I'm not lying to you, I can show you the purchase order. I won't make any money off you, I'll just sell it to you at cost price. Lu Mingui pondered to himself, From 88 to 55, he suddenly lost 33 yuan, so he could earn a little more. It seems like they made a lot of money from this. Then another question came to her mind. If you don't reach your sales quota, you'll be fined. But if you do reach your quota, will you get a bonus? The boss was taken aback by the question, never expecting that this seemingly ordinary woman would be so perceptive and immediately get to the heart of the matter. He smiled wryly to himself, then gave Lu Mingui a thumbs up. Big sister, you're really amazing. If sales are good, there will be a reward. The more you sell, the more reward you will receive. As he spoke, he even produced the internal reward terms. Look, we've set up a standard award, an excellence award, and a sprint award. But I'm telling you, it's not easy at all. Lu Mingui took a look. He recognized all the words. Once the basic sales target was met, he would be rewarded with 2% of the monthly sales revenue. There were still several items left. She thought for a moment and said, I only plan to take this 55 yuan bottle of wine for now, so I won't care about your reward for meeting the target. You should deliver all the rice wine you're supposed to today. The boss readily agreed. We'll definitely send it. I'll also give you a bottle of more expensive liquor, please try it. This expensive wine tastes even better. Then thank you very much. The two sides quickly reached an agreement. Lu Mingui brought back 10 jars of wine in the first batch, paid 550 yuan, and also took 10 bottles of yellow wine. The yellow wine was not very strong, about 10 degrees. Before leaving, the boss offered to help with the delivery. 10 large jars like that are not easy to carry. Lu Mingui naturally refused. Just leave it at the vegetable market delivery point for me. This market has a back door, which is usually where delivery people go. The boss was naturally pleased. This saved him a lot of trouble. He gave her another business card, implying that they should cooperate often in the future. Lu Mingui bought the wine and was quite happy. When we left the White House, they were frying meatballs at home. On the octagonal table in the main room, 3 bowls of fried meatballs were already laid out, steaming hot. When Song Xiaoqiu saw her mother arrive, she handed her a meatball. Mom, try it, is it delicious? Lu Mingui ate one and praised Xiaoqiu's cooking skills, saying it was really delicious. Song Xiaoqiu said, I've fried several kinds of meatballs, please try them all. One is radish balls, another is egg balls, and there are also pork and scallion balls. They're all delicious. As she spoke, she looked at the vegetables in her mother's hand and was immediately delighted. Mom, you bought lotus roots. How about making some fried lotus root fritters? Okay, you handle it. Lu Mingui handed the vegetables to her and then saw Granny Huang making rice cakes. Chapter 287 New Year's Eve. Old Mrs. Huang said, you must eat rice cake during the new year, so that each year will be better than the last. Come on, try it while it's hot. It's piping hot right now, all soft and fluffy, that's when it tastes best. As she spoke, she stuffed a small piece of rice cake into Lu Mingui's mouth. It smelled of glutinous rice, was fragrant and sticky, and made it hard for Lu Mingui to open her mouth. Once it cools down, you can slice it and make a stir-fried cabbage and rice cake dish for the New Year's Eve dinner. It tastes amazing. Or rice cake soup would be delicious too. I'll cook then. The rice cake was sticky and gooey, and Lu Mingui managed to swallow it with great difficulty before praising, it's delicious. We'll see how good your skills are then. Before we knew it, it was New Year's Eve. On Yinshan Street, every household had pasted Spring Festival couplets on their black lacquered doors, and the sounds of children playing could be heard from afar. The sound of chopping meat could be heard coming from the Song family's kitchen. The family was preparing to make dumplings. In the evening, the main room was brightly lit. The 8 immortal table was already laden with all sorts of dishes. Braised fish is an essential dish, symbolizing abundance year after year. There were also dishes made by Granny Huang, such as, Step by Step to Success, stir-fried rice cakes and fried tofu bricks. Song Xiaoqiu made a family portrait of several kinds of meatballs stewed together, a vibrant red braised pork hock. The soup, made with a whole chicken and an old hen, has a golden broth. The remaining roasted mutton, stuffed snails, and other dishes filled the table. Although it couldn't compare to the New Year's Eve dinner at Lu Yunshi's house, which was full of delicacies, it was still quite sumptuous. The whole family gathered together, and even Tuantuan and Yuan were placed in a specially made crib in the main room. The house was warm and cozy because of the underfloor heating. The 2 children were dressed lightly, nimbly moving around and occasionally babbling a few words. Lu Mingui was nearby and would occasionally turn around to tease the 2 children. The child grinned and chuckled, his big, dark eyes looking bright and clever. Lu Mingui suspected that the two children were growing up faster than other children their age because they often stayed at Guanlin residence when they were fleeing famine. After all, the two times are different. According to her estimate, the two children are about 2 months older than children born in the same month. However, it shouldn't have any impact on the body. Song Xiaoqiu had already invited everyone to sit down and eat. Lu Mingui asked Granny Huang if she could drink wine. When she learned that she could drink a little yellow wine, she poured the yellow wine into a wine pot, warmed it on a small stove, and then put it on the table. Except for Shen Juya, who still needs to breastfeed her baby, Man, who is still very young, everyone else poured themselves a glass of wine. The atmosphere at the dinner table was harmonious and joyful. Lu Mingui raised her glass first. This year, our family has experienced tremendous changes, if not everything has gone smoothly. It always felt like the days were going by so long, but in the blink of an eye, how did we end up going from Baoding Prefecture to Suzhou Prefecture? Although the journey has been difficult, we've managed to get through it all. As she spoke, her eyes welled up with tears, and her hands trembled slightly. Seeing this, everyone felt a pang of sorrow. They had left their homes and faced life and death along the way, who could not feel a sense of unease? Song Xiaoqiu reached out and shook Lu Mingui's hand, calling out, "Mother." Her voice was soft and sweet. Lu Mingui looked at her daughter, her heart gradually calming down. She patted her daughter's hand and smiled, "It's the new year, let's not talk about these things. Let's drink this toast together, and wish each other a safe and smooth new year." The whole family raised their glasses, creating a lively and festive atmosphere. "Yes, may everything go smoothly for you from now on, and may you enjoy good health." He said a lot of auspicious words. Everyone drank quite a bit. Lu Mingui had a good alcohol tolerance, but he was only slightly tipsy. Old Huang became more talkative, holding Shen Juya's hand. "Girl, my life has been very bitter." He said a lot, which brought tears to Shen Juya's eyes. "Auntie, don't think like that. You and we are family now." Old Mrs. Huang wiped away her tears. "Yes, thank goodness I met your mother. My good fortune is yet to come." Song Xiaoqiu and Song Xiaodong were also a little drunk, and the siblings talked about their childhood. Lu Mingui brought out tea and several kinds of fruit, including red dates, chestnuts, persimmon cakes, and melon seeds. "Have some tea to sober up, you all need to keep watch later." Inside the main room, a pair of New Year's Eve candles were burning brightly. Feeling incredibly sleepy, Man rubbed her eyes and asked, "Grandma, when can we set off the firecrackers?" "I can't sleep tonight. I have to wait until midnight to set off the firecrackers. After the firecrackers are set off, the children can go to sleep." It was only 3/4 past Shu hour, and there was still plenty of time before Li hour. Just as he was feeling a bit bored, Song Xiaodong took out something. "Let's play the promotion chart." Everyone was curious. What is a promotion chart? Song Xiaodong glanced at his sister before saying, "Brother Zhang delivered it during the day. If we get bored keeping watch tonight because he can't come over, we'll play this game." "This is my first time playing this too," he said. "Brother Zhang said it's not difficult and even taught me how to do it." He then gave a brief introduction. "First, there is a chessboard with many squares. The grid is divided into 3 circles. The outer circle consists of about 15 different social classes, from commoners to top scholars. Then there are official positions in county and prefectural governments, with the ultimate goal being the 3 dukes, Grand Tutor, Grand Preceptor, and Grand Protector. Each player takes a chess piece to represent themselves. Everyone starts as a nobody and takes turns spinning a top on each of the 4 sides, which are inscribed with virtue, talent, merit, and corruption. If you roll virtue, you can be promoted to a higher rank. Next is talent, which can lead to a promotion of 1 or 2 ranks. Merit means you will remain in the same position. Corruption is the worst, which may result in a demotion or being demoted. The rules weren't difficult, and everyone became interested. Lu Mingui used to keep watch at night in his hometown, always sitting properly until dawn. He had never done anything like this before. Several people responded, and everyone except Tuantuan and Yuan took a chess piece. Man is young, so she goes first. Once Lu Mingui gave the order, everyone else complied and quickly got the hang of it. Time flies when you play. Like this. Just as we were getting into the swing of things, a deep, resonant bell rang out, one after another, long and drawn out. Song Xiaodong jumped up. "It's the bell of Hanshan Temple. It's almost midnight, let's get ready to set off firecrackers." He ran outside first, and Man, as agile as a little rabbit, had already caught up. Lu Mingui said urgently, "Put on a coat before you go." The two of them were no longer listening to anything and had already dashed out. Shen Juya laughed and said, "One big and one small, two mischievous monkeys. Mother, don't worry, the two of them are very strong now and won't catch a cold." Despite saying that, she still took the full coat in her hands. Lu Mingui took the coat. "I'll take it to them to wear. We have underfloor heating in this room, but it's freezing outside." In just a short while, the sound of firecrackers could be heard everywhere outside. Afraid of startling her two children, Shen Juya quickly went back into the house, pulled the blanket up a little, and plugged the children's ears. Old Mrs. Huang didn't go out either, she stayed with her to take care of the child. Everywhere in the streets and alleys, people could be seen setting off firecrackers, and the smell of gunpowder mingled with the cold night wind. Song Xiaodong was also playing with Man. Lu Mingui stood not far away, watching with a smile, and took a deep breath. The smell was quite pleasant. Chapter 288 New Year. On the first day of the Lunar New Year, although the family hadn't slept all night, they were still quite energetic. They all changed into brand new clothes, including Granny Huang. The clothes were all made by Shen Juya and Wang Shi during this period, the others were too busy to make them. Lu Mingui advised her, "If you make clothes this year, don't make any next year. We'll hire a tailor to make it, so you won't have to stay up all night with bloodshot eyes." Shen Juya replied, "Mother, why are you being so delicate? I'm happy to do this. I'll be unhappy if they don't let me do it. You all have to do everything up front, while I can only look after the children in the back. The children are young and need constant care. Once the child is asleep, my hands are idle, so I can make clothes." Lu Mingui went with her, but since it was the end of the year, she couldn't let her daughter-in-law suffer, so she also gave her a red envelope containing 10 taels of silver. Shen Juya initially refused to accept the money, saying, "Mother, I have nowhere to spend money at home." Lu Mingui found this daughter-in-law to be too honest, so he could only advise, "Why is there no room? Not to mention anything else, Man wants to wish you a happy new year today, aren't you going to give her a lucky money packet?" Shen Juya then put the red envelope away and, before Man woke up, slipped it under her daughter's pillow. Lu Mingui and Granny Huang were already sitting on chairs in the main room, waiting for the younger generation to wish them a happy new year. Old Mrs. Huang had been lonely for half her life, but now she was able to have a reunion dinner, wear new clothes, and have younger relatives wishing her a happy new year. She was already incredibly excited. She had already wrapped the silver she had recently received in red paper, and was just waiting for this moment. Seeing this, Lu Mingui quickly stopped her, saying, "You don't need to give it to me, I've already prepared it for you. Look, one for you, one for me." He then took out several red paper packets and handed them to Granny Huang. She knew that Granny Huang didn't have much money, so how could she possibly ask her to spend any more? Old Mrs. Huang originally intended to be polite, but in the end she couldn't refuse, so she simply took it. Then Song Xiaoqiu knelt down with a smile and kowtowed, saying to the two of them, "Daughter wishes mother a happy new year, and wishes aunt a happy new year. May you two enjoy boundless happiness, longevity, and all your wishes come true." Lu Mingui and Granny Huang were both delighted and said repeatedly, "Get up quickly." They then gave each person a red envelope, saying, "Here's your New Year's money." Song Xiaoqiu was initially embarrassed to accept the gift, but remembering what her mother had said, she accepted it anyway. Last night her mother said, "Even though you're not married, in my heart you're still a child. Tomorrow I'll go with Xiaodong and Man to wish everyone a happy new year." Thinking of this, she felt her heart was full, not bittersweet, but blissful. Then Xiaodong came to offer New Year's greetings. Lu Mingui gave him lucky money and added, "Today is the first day of the Lunar New Year, so you can't sweep the floor." Song Xiaodong scratched his head. "Mom, I know. I'm not sweeping the floor today, because I'm afraid it will sweep away our wealth and good fortune." "You can't say anything unlucky," old Mrs. Huang added, "and you can't touch the needle, thread, or scissors either." "That's right, let's go eat dumplings. The dumplings that were made yesterday are now lined up and cooked, and served steaming hot on the table. Each person gets a big bowl, piled high." Lu Mingui was the first to pick up a dumpling. "There's a copper coin inside this dumpling. Eating it will bring you good fortune for the whole year. Let's see who gets to eat first this time." As soon as she finished speaking, Man cried out, "Ouch!" and spat out a copper coin, along with a tooth. She looked at her teeth and burst into tears. Grandma, Grandma, my tooth fell out. Wah! Seeing her cry, everyone laughed instead. Lu Mingui laughed so hard she almost fell over, but seeing her granddaughter looking so wronged, she restrained herself a bit. Man, don't cry, you're losing your baby teeth. Shen Juya added, you'll be 6 years old after the new year, it's time to lose your baby teeth. I'd heard Man mention before that her front tooth was loose, and I was wondering when it would fall out. And here it is. Song Xiaoqiu scooped Man up and sat her on her lap, coaxing, everyone has to lose their baby teeth when they grow up. Our Man is the bravest, she's not afraid of losing her baby teeth. This is the upper tooth. We'll wash it clean and put it under the bed. A new tooth will grow in soon. If you cry again, you'll look like a little kitten. Man stopped crying immediately. Auntie, will I really grow new teeth soon? Song Xiaoqiu replied patiently, of course you can. And the newly grown teeth are particularly powerful, they can eat a lot of meat. The aunt and niece were talking. Lu Mingui then found another copper coin, followed by Granny Huang, Song Xiaodong, and Shen Juya. Lu Mingui couldn't help but ask her daughter, how many copper coins were put in these dumplings? In the blink of an eye, they've already eaten 5 or 6. Song Xiaoqiu smiled and said, we put in quite a lot, but not that much. Our family is just lucky. Shen Juya hurriedly said, then you should eat quickly. You haven't even had time to eat while you've been coaxing Man, have you? Hearing her sister-in-law's words, she quickly picked up a dumpling, took a careful bite, and then smiled, having indeed eaten one. Like Man, she also found a copper coin in her first dumpling. Shen Juya teased, you're really lucky. You're getting married this year, aren't you lucky? Your sister-in-law will make you a few more little clothes when the time comes. These words were whispered in Song Xiaoqiu's ear, and although the voice was soft, it still made her blush. She scolded playfully, sister-in-law. If you say that again, I'm going to get angry. Shen Juya laughed and said, what's there to be ashamed of? It's nothing, you're just too shy. Looking at her, Song Xiaoqiu felt that her sister-in-law's personality had changed a lot, and she was very lively now. Song Xiaodong didn't understand and kept asking. Sis, what are you two talking about? You're whispering to each other. Tell us about it. Song Xiaoqiu naturally couldn't say anything, and rolled her eyes at him. What are you asking about, you little kid? Go eat your dumplings. But then a voice came from outside. Can I have a bowl of dumplings too? Zhang Yuanzhou was outside, craning his neck to look inside. Song Xiaodong was even happier than his sister, and stood up to ask, Big brother, what brings you here? Zhang Yuanzhou stepped into the main room and said, after having New Year's Eve dinner yesterday, I went to the patrol office for night duty. I just finished my shift and came over to wish my aunt a happy new year. He then wished Lu Mingui a happy new year, and naturally didn't forget Granny Huang. Chapter 289 Temple Fair. Lu Mingui gave him a red envelope and hurriedly said, no wonder you look so cold. Your superior is really. Before she could finish, she called to Song Xiaodong, go and get a bowl of dumplings. Another bowl of dumpling soup, please. Drink it while it's hot to warm yourself up. Zhang Yuanzhou thanked her and took the opportunity to sit down next to Song Xiaoqiu. Although there was still some distance between them, Song Xiaoqiu was so flustered that she quickly got up. She couldn't help but frown. This person was always so audacious. The others, however, were already used to it. However, no matter what, they weren't married yet, and Lu Mingui was keeping an eye on them. When the food was served, Zhang Yuanzhou first drank the dumpling soup in one gulp, and only then did he feel warm. Then he ate the dumplings. One bite reveals the cabbage and pork filling inside, and the juices flow out. He ate with satisfaction, exclaiming, these dumplings are delicious. I've never eaten such delicious dumplings in my entire life. Granny Huang laughed and said, of course. These were all wrapped by Xiaoqiu herself. Zhang Yuanzhou then ate with even greater gusto, devouring the dumplings one after another, and soon finished the entire bowl. I wasn't exaggerating, I genuinely thought it tasted delicious. Seeing that he had finished eating the dumplings, Song Xiaoqiu urged him to hurry up and finish them, saying, if you have something to do, then hurry up and get on with it. If there's nothing else, go back and rest. After staying up all night, I should definitely get some sleep. Zhang Yuanzhou smiled and said, I'm fine, and not tired at all. The next few days are all holidays, and it's someone else's turn to work the night shift, so there will be plenty of time to rest. I'm here today to take you to the temple fair. Upon hearing this, Song Xiaodong jumped for joy. Really? Brother Zhang, where shall we go to the temple fair? Is the temple fair fun? Is it like a big market? Zhang Yuanzhou nodded. Pretty much, but bigger, with more people, and more lively. He then looked at Song Xiaoqiu. Let's go together. Today is the first day of the Lunar New Year, it must be very lively. Besides, I'm not going to visit other people's homes for the New Year today, so I have nothing to do at home. Song Xiaoqiu was somewhat tempted. She had been in Suzhou Prefecture for so long and had never been to a temple fair. She turned to look at her mother, signaling with her eyes that she was seeking Lu Minggui's consent. Lu Mingui thought for a moment and then nodded. Go ahead, Xiaodong will come along, and Man has never been before, so bring her too. Chrysanthemum Leaf is going too, I'll stay home and take care of the kids. Tu Antoine and Yuan are still young and need constant care. She doesn't dare take them to crowded places, so she stays home to watch them and doesn't go out to join the young people. Unexpectedly, Shen Juya shook her head. Mother, I won't go. Why don't you go and take a look? You've been so busy these days, it's a good opportunity for you to go and have a look around. The whole family politely declined each other's offer, all saying they wanted to stay at home. In the end, it was Granny Huang who made the final decision. You all go, I'll stay and look after the house and the children. I've been to these places countless times when I was young, there's nothing new about them. I even sold rouge at a stall last year. Lu Mingui asked, is there anything you want? I'll bring it back for you. Old Mrs. Huang didn't stand on ceremony with her. I want to eat the fried fish at the temple fair. Buy me 2 pieces to try. Abalone. From the sea, Lu Mingui asked, recalling the Buddha jumps over the wall soup she had eaten at Lu Yunxi's house, which contained abalone, which was chewy and had a good texture. She had never eaten it before, and only found out it was called abalone after she specifically asked its name. As for what the sea is, it was the place where the 3 treasuries eunuch sailed out, it was vast and boundless. Granny Huang quickly explained, fried fish is made by cutting large bluefish into small pieces, marinating them, and then deep frying them in oil. They're very crispy, don't buy too much, and if it's expensive, don't buy it either. Oh, it's a bluefish. Lu Mingui agreed. Okay, wait for me. Just as they were about to leave, the little yellow dog came chasing after them again, drooling. Song Xiaodong quickly shooed it back inside, and the family then got onto the mule cart. The mule cart was rented by Zhang Yuanzhou. It had a carriage with a wooden board around it where you could sit. There were also clean blankets inside so you could cover your legs if you were cold. It's more than 20 miles from home. Fortunately, although the journey was long, it was not boring. After all, it was not as frantic as when we fled the famine. Now we were in a relaxed and leisurely mood. Zhang Yuanzhou said, there is a temple fair in front of Xuanmiao Temple every year from the 1st to the 15th of the lunar month. There are a lot of people. I'll be carrying Man in a bit, so you guys stick close to me. Then he asked Man, is it okay? Just in case you get pushed by others. Man immediately nodded obediently, okay . Zhang Yuanzhou was taken aback when he noticed that Man was missing a tooth, which explained the lisp. He found Man to be very charming and cute, and couldn't help but smile. Man immediately became angry. Grandma, Uncle is making fun of Man. Everyone was shocked by her use of the term, uncle-in-law, especially Song Xiaoqiu. Her face flushed red, and she hurriedly said, Man, don't shout like that, it's not. They're not married yet. Lu Mingui was also surprised, as her family had never taught her that. Why are you calling for people? It's really not a big deal. Everyone on the bus is family. It's just that they changed their tune a little too early. But Zhang Yuanzhou immediately became excited. He suddenly stood up, but because he was too tall, he bumped his head against the carriage with a thud. But ignoring the pain, she hurriedly asked, Man, what did you just call me? Say it again so I can hear it. He was so happy that he didn't even see Song Xiaoqiu rolling her eyes at him. The little guy is quite precocious, he just blurted it out too quickly, and once he realized it, he refused to say it a second time. What should I call you? Just call me Uncle Zhang. Hey, that's not how it works. You didn't call it that just now, Zhang Yuanzhou coaxed the child with a smile. Call it again, and your uncle will buy you a sugar figurine, okay? Her big, bright eyes blinked. Really? Are you really going to buy me a sugar figurine? To prevent you from changing your mind, I'll order it after you've bought it. Zhang Yuanzhou had no choice but to continue coaxing the driver when he heard the driver shout, "Gentlemen, there's a traffic jam ahead. The mule cart can't get in, you'll have to get off and walk in." Even without the driver shouting, a commotion could be heard outside. When I got off the bus, I saw a huge crowd ahead. In front of Xuanmiao Temple, there are all kinds of sheds and stalls. It seems that you can see all kinds of trades here. Everything is available: food, drinks, clothes, daily necessities, and toys. Storytellers, opera singers, and acrobatic troupes. Various sounds entered my ears. Although noisy, it was extremely lively. The bluestone path in the middle was so crowded that people could only walk forward shoulder to shoulder. Lu Mingui added, "There are too many people, so be careful." Song Xiaoqiu was also astonished. "There are so many people, it's probably half of Suzhou Prefecture here. Much more people than at the market." Zhang Yuanzhou had already held Man in his arms to prevent her from being jostled by the crowd. Hearing Song Xiaoqiu say this, he quickly added, "That's right, the other half of the group also went to Shantang Street." He then asked the group, "Are you cold? Would you like a bowl of tea first? There's a tea shop up ahead." The stall owner was very hospitable, inviting everyone to sit down and then bringing out a large porcelain bowl. The bowl already contained sorghum flour, brown sugar, candied fruit peel, sesame seeds, walnuts, and the like. All you had to do was pour boiling water over it to make a drink. Everyone ordered a bowl, and after taking a sip while it was still hot, it was sweet and made them feel warm all over. Chapter 290 Fried Shrimp Cakes. After drinking the tea, everyone felt completely warm. Zhang Yuanzhou called out, "Keep walking ahead, there's lots of fun stuff to do." The whole family followed him, and along the way they saw vendors selling sweet fermented rice balls, osmanthus cakes, steamed buns, baked buns, candied fruit, and noodles. Food stalls lined up one after another, with low tables and stools set up behind them for people to sit and eat. There were also vendors who carried their wares around and sold them, such as those selling hawthorn berries coated in a shiny sugar coating that made your mouth water just looking at them. Zhang Yuanzhou wanted to buy more, but this time no one wanted any, so he only bought one skewer for Man. With a missing tooth, Man always drooled when eating hawthorn berries, and some of it inevitably dripped onto Zhang Yuanzhou. He didn't seem to mind, but Song Xiaoqiu took a handkerchief to wipe her drool. From a distance, they looked like a family of three. Shen Juya found some peace and quiet and followed Lu Mingui carefully forward, protecting her from time to time. When they encountered acrobatic performers, some breathing fire, others juggling plates, the family would stop and watch for a while. Many people applauded and cheered, and even threw in coins. Song Xiaodong also threw a few, exclaiming that it was so satisfying. Lu Mingui remembered that Granny Huang wanted to eat fried fish, and as she walked further, she actually saw it. This stall not only sells fried fish, but also fried shrimp cakes and fried silverfish cakes. The sizzling sound of frying oil made it hard to move. The vendor then dropped the batter coated with silverfish into the oil. The white batter tumbled in the oil and quickly turned golden brown. He used specially made long bamboo chopsticks to pick up the silverfish, flipped it over, and after frying it thoroughly, he took it out and placed it in a hollow bamboo basket to drain the oil and let the silverfish cake cool. Then he wrapped it in oil paper and handed it to the customer. Shrimp cakes are made in a similar way. Seeing that the silver fish were almost transparent and the shrimp were lively and fresh, Lu Mingui quickly ordered a few portions. 2 servings of silverfish cakes and 2 servings of shrimp cakes were shared among several people. I dared not buy too much, fearing that if I continued on my way, there would be other delicious food, but I wouldn't have room in my stomach. Order another serving of fried fish to take back to Granny Huang. The shrimp cakes are still steaming hot in your hand, and you can vaguely see the small, reddish shrimp inside. Take a bite and you'll hear a crunch sound. They're crispy and incredibly delicious. The stall owner said, "Sir, you can go next door and have a bowl of tofu pudding. We have both sweet and savory options. It goes best with my family's shrimp cakes." Lu Mingui looked over at the stall next door, where a young woman was selling tofu pudding. The young woman beckoned, "Auntie, come inside, you can sit down and eat." Lu Mingui had no intention of going in. She shook her head and said, "I can't eat this much, so I won't go in." Next time, unexpectedly, a person emerged from behind the curtain and said with a smile, "Aunt Lu, Happy New Year." "What a coincidence. You've come to the temple fair too." Lu Mingui smiled as well. "So it's Captain Ni. Long time no see. Happy New Year. Isn't that a coincidence?" She remembered that Captain Ni was not from Suzhou Prefecture, yet she managed to meet him in front of Xuanmiao Temple. Song Xiaodong and the others recognized him as the boat owner they had hitched a ride with when they fled the famine. They all greeted him. The boat owner, Ni, was in high spirits and called out, "Shopkeeper, bring me a few more bowls of tofu pudding, both sweet and savory." He then invited a few more people in, saying, "Come in quickly, it's warm under the curtain. Have a bowl of tofu pudding before you go shopping." The young woman responded and went to scoop out the tofu pudding. Lu Mingui realized that Captain Ni was inviting her to eat tofu pudding. How could she accept that? We are not related by blood or marriage, and we are not particularly familiar with each other. Why are you so hospitable? She hurriedly took out her coins to pay, but Captain Ni preemptively said, "It's all on my tab." So the young lady ultimately refused to accept Lu Mingui's copper coins. Captain Ni invited everyone to sit down, then looked at Zhang Yuanzhou and said in surprise, "This young man looks very familiar." Because of the glass bowl that Lu Mingui sold him, he had a deep impression of this family. He clearly remembered that this person wasn't originally in that family. But it looked extremely familiar. He stroked his beard, and it took him a while to remember. "Oh, you were on that boat trip too?" Zhang Yuanzhou laughed and said, "That's me, young man." Captain Ni's gaze lingered on Zhang Yuanzhou and Song Xiaoqiu, who was looking down shyly. His mind finally clicked. Could it be? Could it be? Lu Mingui, too lazy to wait for him to guess, spoke first. "He is now engaged to my daughter and is my family's future son-in-law." Upon hearing this, Captain Ni offered his congratulations repeatedly. He then introduced his wife and children to Lu Mingui, revealing that he had also brought his family to the temple fair that day. His wife was very young, seemingly a generation younger than Captain Ni. She was dressed in brand new clothes, with powder on her face and lipstick on. Her 2 children were only about 10 years old. Lu Mingui then smiled and said to the woman, "My family runs a rouge shop. It's located on Yinshan Street, and it's called Ronghua Pavilion. If Madam has some free time, she can go and take a look." She originally wanted to call her Niangzi, wife, but later changed it to Madam. It was only after arriving in Zhongnan that Lu Mingui discovered that in any family with even a little wealth, the matriarch was addressed as Madam or Lady, regardless of whether the family held official positions or held imperial titles. Nobody cared, so she followed local customs and learned from others. The woman hadn't taken it seriously at first, but when she heard that the shop was called Ronghua Pavilion, her attitude became much warmer. "So you're the owner of Ronghua Pavilion? I'll definitely go when I have time." She then said coquettishly to Captain Ni, "Ronghua Pavilion is the rouge shop I told you about, much better than the rouge shops in Changeman. There are many varieties. That face cream, what's it called, works extremely well. No one else's stuff is as good as hers. But you've only been back for a short time this time, and Ronghua Pavilion won't open for business until the 10th of the month." Captain Ni laughed and said, "Even if I didn't come back, didn't you have someone bring it to you?" Before the young woman could speak, he turned to Lu Mingui and said, "So, Auntie, you've opened a new shop. It's a pity I found out too late, otherwise I would definitely have gone to support them."